of the Transportation Licensing Commission. If you'll please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Pursuant to the provisions of Section 2.68.030 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws, notice is hereby given that if you are not satisfied with the decision made by the Metropolitan Transportation Licensing Commission, you may appeal the decision by petitioning for a writ of certiorari with the Davidson County Chancery or Circuit Court. Your appeal must be filed within 60 days of the date of the entry of the Metropolitan Transportation Licensing Commission's decision. We advise that you seek your own independent legal advice to ensure that your appeal is filed in a timely manner and that all procedural requirements have been met. Have the commissioners had an opportunity to review last month's minutes? Is there a motion regarding approval?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. First item for today, we have some public hearings. There's a request to transfer American Music City taxi certificate from Mr. Johnny White to Mr. Akram Hassan. Mr. Hassan, excuse me.
Anytime there's a transfer certificate, action with the commission is necessary. They've filed appropriate applications. All of the fees from the company have been paid up to this point. So the company is up to date on all of its fees, and they're present to answer any questions that you might have.
Done any disciplinary issues or probationary?
Yeah, no issues on either one of them.
Has there been anyone who's requested to speak on the issue besides possibly Mr. White or Mr. Hassan?
I don't think so.
Can we make a motion to approve?
Well, at this moment, we'll close the public hearing and open it up for a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Next, we have another public hearing, a request for certificate of necessity and convenience for low-speed vehicles or vehicles. Mr. Fields.
When we began regulating low-speed vehicles, and I'll go ahead and, if I may, just speak to all three of the public hearings that will be happening. The low-speed vehicles, pedal vehicles, both pedicabs and the pedal carriages, there was not a provision in the ordinance that required an annual meeting. However, by your rule that you approved earlier this year, once a year you will entertain any applications for any of these three industries, very much like we do the taxi cabs. As you know, the taxi cab here when you set the schedule earlier in the year, you set the schedule for the taxi cab hearing in January, emergency records in June, and then you established this month for these three industries. So the applications that are here are the ones that were filed, and we're presenting them to you for your consideration. Should we go and explain the process? It'll be a two-step process, very much like the taxi cabs. You'll consider, on the front end, you'll make a determination of whether or not there would be a need, is the first thing you need to determine. In making the above findings, in other words, determining if you have a need, at minimum, you're going to take into consideration the number of LSVs or any of the others already in operation, whether existing service is adequate to meet the public need, the character, experience, financial condition, and responsibility of the applicant, as well as any other criteria that you've established. So the first thing you'll do is we'll have the public hearing, and then I think it'd be appropriate for you to make a determination as do we need additional vehicles. If it's a yes, then we proceed to the second part of a hearing, which would be not the hearing, but the second part of your deliberations to determine who and how many would be assigned. Did I get that? Yeah.
And I understand that we've, in addition to receiving a number of notices from audience members today to speak on this issue, we've also received some written letters.
We've received a letter from Councilman Withers, from a couple of residents in the Encore building, from a taxi cab driver, also from Councilman Elrod, and also from the Taxi Cab Drivers Association. And two of them I don't have. They came in after I'd left the office, but we will make sure there are copies and make sure they're part of the public record.
All right.
So even if we found that there could be a need,
Mhm.
we're waiting a delivery of a traffic analysis.
And I apologize, I should have mentioned that. You had asked, earlier in the year, you had asked the Public Works Department to execute or to go out to bid for a traffic study that would basically talk about the impact of the low-speed vehicles, the pedicabs, the pedal carriages, as well as the horsing carriages and taxi cabs. We actually asked them to look at everything in the downtown area and the impact on the local traffic. That study is not ready. I'll go ahead and say this. If you were to have a finding that you want additional one, we will not have that study. It's possible in September. I'm confident it'll be in October. From a staff standpoint, I'd request that you delay that decision until October, mostly because September is our month to renew all of the taxi cab drivers. And from a staff standpoint, everybody out there is going to be stretched pretty thin.
Is it a possibility that we hold these applications until we could see that traffic study?
It's the way the commission has, what you could do today is have your public hearing and not take any action until the study comes out, if that's what you chose to do. You could delay the public hearing and we could push it off till October. I'd recommend that since people are already here for the public hearing, I'd recommend to continue the public hearing and then at that point deliberate and make whatever decision you'd like to make.
Thank you, Mr. Fields. I've received two requests to speak on this issue. Mr. Solomon Tadelli.
And I also believe the company, the applicants may very well want to speak, and they would normally not fill out a form.
Good afternoon. I'm coming as individual taxi driver in Nashville. I've been driving for the last 10 years.
If you'll please just reintroduce yourself, please.
My name is Solomon Taddela, and I drive for Nash Vegas Cab as a taxi driver. I just oppose the proposal to have the joyride because there are some misinformation to the public in general. If you've seen them, they are like free ride. They say free ride, but actually they're charging like $40 from Courtyard on Church Street going to Broadway. Individual, $10 individual people. They're charging, if you have 4 people, they're charging $40, but on their sign it says free. And this is coming from the customers telling us like, hey, you're charging me $6, but the joyride charge us $40. And I think that's what, I just want to let you know, guys, and they need to be measured like we do. I know it's a fair to operate, but at the same time, they are on public roads and they need to be regulated like we do. So that's what I came for.
Thank you.
I oppose it. Application. Whatever we have is enough.
Mr. Jim Burrow.
Lord, Mr. Fields, Jim Burrow, owner of Pink Taxi. I would, I was going to piggyback off what he said right into what I want to say for about 2 or 3 minutes. I would challenge anybody in this building to believe that Joyride or any of those companies downtown are free rides. Nobody's in business to give a free ride. Taxi companies, golf carts, limousines, nobody. That is such a misconception. And I'm pretty sure the board knows that's not a free ride if you go down there and ride. They might give you one, but if everybody gave them a free ride, how long do you think they'd be in business? Their drivers would all quit. Nobody would pay them. It'd be over. I'd also ask the board to look closely at the need for more of the golf carts and the bicycles and so forth downtown. They are already in business. Taxi companies are in business. I don't believe that any taxi company at the next hearing will ask for any more permits. All of us are trying to survive right now. There's abundance of transportation in Nashville, downtown, believe me. And I'm sure some of you live downtown, some of you work downtown, some of you see it. But take a close look. I mean, businesses are in business. All of us need to survive, and we don't need people to keep slicing away and jamming up the traffic downtown. That's leading the traffic. The traffic is horrendous downtown. Put another, all these on here, you get up to 50 vehicles they've asked for or more. That's going to be just another traffic jam downtown. And golf carts running around everywhere. I don't know if it's a safety issue or not. I'm not here to talk about too much safety. I don't believe they're safe, but I have no data to back it up with. But I do know for sure it's not free. And look at the need as you do us. And if that's my time to go, I'm okay with it because I've addressed the points that I wanted to address, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Burrow. Is there a representative who'd like to speak from Cool Running?
Ladies and gentlemen, how are we doing?
Hello.
We're currently a executive transportation
If you
company.
please introduce yourself.
I'm sorry, John Murphy. We are a executive transportation black car service in Nashville, and we have applied to do this as a different subsidiary or company to put us more into the downtown area. As everybody's addressed, there's traffic issues downtown. We all know it. The carts actually make it a little bit easier to get around downtown, a little bit faster to get around downtown. They can move around faster than standard cars and buses and Sprinter vans. So, you know, there's a lot of companies that do business downtown. There are transportation companies, as he pointed out, but there's still a need. If there wasn't a need, we wouldn't be trying to grow and bring more cars and grow our companies. For instance, the last Titans games, you couldn't get a ride to go anywhere. Everybody was busy. And, you know, special events, you know, basically increase the demand for transportation. We all know that. You know, as for us, you know, this is a new venture, and we want to go into it, and we want to go into it with safety in mind. But on our original application, we applied. We asked for 4 permits. If it is approved, we would like to increase that to an 8-count vehicle permit for us, if that's possible. But you know, as far as issues with transportation and the other companies, it is a case where everybody's trying to fight to survive and get business. We all know that, and it all plays out in the end. But there's plenty of business. There's plenty of people coming to visit Nashville, and the people that are coming to visit Nashville should be our first priority. Thank you.
Thank you. I would ask that a representative from Joyride come forward.
It's a lot of information to get in for 2 minutes, but my name's Grant. I'm the CEO of Joyride. Just want to touch on a quick point. Talking about, you know, joyrides or for that matter, taking up downtown Nashville, there's 2,300 taxi cabs that operate on any given Friday or Saturday night. If we look downtown, you'll see that we are just a speck in a sea of yellow cabs. Also, with the reports, we charge fares. If we hear about that, we will let go of people, and we have let go of people. And also, too, to their point with the taxi cabs, the reason we are in business is because we're filling a niche they were not filling, with either taking non-working credit card machines, not taking myself 3 or 4 blocks, and people are choosing us. We are in the business to make money, and people are gratuitously tipping us because they want to. We are a free ride, and we encourage anyone in that industry to come drive for us, and they'll see it themselves. So I'll get kind of right into it. I did have a speech prepared. I've got 2 minutes, so I'll just give you the hard facts on why we're asking for 24 vehicles. First, we're in negotiation with third-party vendors with the Tennessee Titans. This vendor is one of the main corporate sponsors for Nissan Stadium. They want to personally have our transportation company come and take their people in and out of their VIP tailgates for Titans games. They're not asking taxi companies. They're not asking anyone else. They're asking Joyride specifically. Second, we're in talks with Vanderbilt University. They want us as a vendor for their school functions, not only for graduations and move-in, but safe ride homes for their students. Also, the athletic department has personally reached out to us as they want us to work. They want to work with us for Vanderbilt home games. Third, there is a provision in the LSV Special Events Regulations. It states that in order to have more carts, more than our allotted number, Joyride or any other LSV company for that matter, is not allowed to lease carts. So this means during like CMA, when we have heavy volume, Uber, Lyft, taxis can't operate in a confined area, and they don't, we come in to fill that void. The only way that we can fill the demand for 90,000 people today is to have more carts, which directly translates in having more permits, which is one reason why we are asking for more permits to fill that large demand. Also, too, I've got a data sheet that's in front of you. It's kind of a flip thing right here. I'll just kind of cover the basics on it right now. We use hard data, so we're going to be logistical and logical in what we're asking for and why. If you'll look, and it is kind of hard to read, but June through August 2015, we received on an average of 12,000 to 14,000 phone calls during our peak months. Last year, we missed, on average, 2,000 calls a month, and this is only because during that period, we had 55 carts in operation. If you see below that, for the next year, June through August 2016, we are receiving relatively the same amount of calls, but missing almost 50% of them. This is directly because our fleet size is 40% smaller than it was last year, and this is solely due to the regulations limiting our cart size. And that's a substantial gap, because not only are we not able to fulfill the calls that are coming in, but due to our fleet size, we can't give the rides. So at our best, currently at our fleet size, we're only able to field 70% of the phone calls that are coming in to our system. Most busy days, these are weekends, we're only able to fulfill only 55% of the demand that is coming in. And these are calls coming in versus the rides that we can physically give. So what we're saying is there is still room to grow. Also, on average, our call times, roughly we get 307 calls a day. The bulk of these calls are coming in during peak times between 5 p.m. and 7 p.m. That's a lot, because that's a lot of volume that comes in a very confined amount of hours with limited amounts of vehicles that we can do that. So, last year we estimated that we transported over 454,000 riders in 2015. We're on track to match that number, with almost missing 50% of our calls during this year's busy season. And again, this is important to understand, because we are giving the same amount of rides as last year, but missing 55% of the calls coming in. Our quality of service has fallen because we lack the vehicles to perform the services that is expected with Joyride. So what we're saying is more carts directly translate into moving more people who are requesting our service and no one else. We just want to put that out there. Also, too, in terms of safety, you'll see in there we have our insurance report for the last 12 months. 0 loss claims on our insurance. 0. No accidents claimed on our insurance from the insurance company. But I know I've got 24 seconds to do. If you flip to the back page, we're not just asking for more carts. We want to back that up with action. These are safety standards that we want to put in. Briefly go through it. This is all carts will be GPS to be identified if they're out of the area, or if something has gone on where they need to be identified. All of our carts will be numbered with a windshield sticker to identify who we are. All of our drivers are and will be trained with an accident reporting kit, which is in your file.
You can have additional time.
Okay, so I was kind of going quick. Accident reporting, so they can document accidents properly, and that is the yellow sheet that you see in the packet. Also, this is very important, Joyride has employed a full-time mechanic that works on our vehicles to address immediate safety issues and fix problems on demand. It's in our opinion that we feel that any LSV company that gets 4 or more carts or above should be required to have a full-time mechanic on site. If they don't, to me, that's an issue, and would probably, to me, also be a safety concern, because where are they getting them fixed? How quickly are they doing it? That sort of stuff. Also, our insurance company does a once-a-year safety audit on our vehicles and our facility. We also hold quarterly safety meetings with all of our drivers, and we can also share the reviews of these audits with the board if requested. Also, Joyride gives the right to each manager to suspend drivers for failing to observe safety standards or Joyride ethics standards at any time, and this is above and beyond what the board would recommend. Our MVRs are going back 5 years as opposed to 3 years. When we do, most companies are only doing 3, so we're opting to hold ourselves to a more stricter standard in hiring drivers. And Joyride also, we hold safety and training classes with all new drivers. So this is something you might not hear from the other companies, but we require a written exam. We have a video tutorial test, cart safety training with a manager or senior driver right along. This is also on top of what the state requires in the city, with an F endorsement, and also to pass a criminal background check by the state of Tennessee. And lastly, as far as I know, we're the only company that requires our certified tour guides to become Platinum City certified. This is completing 5 hours of classes with the Nashville Convention and Visitors Bureau. These classes are to learn about the city's history, but more importantly, it trains our driver in customer service. And this is a course that is offered by the city. In my understanding, we are the only company taking advantage of this. And lastly, we're open to any ideas and suggestions. We know putting more vehicles on the road is going to be a strain. It creates more headaches and hassles. But what we want to do is at least be transparent on what we do to set standards, be accountable for them, and have consequences if we don't fulfill our obligations and promises. So all we're asking today is, look at our request for 24 carts to be approved for the reasons that I mentioned above, and vet these other companies that are either existing or coming in, the Me Too companies that want to have carts and build upon something in an industry that we started. And that's what we're asking for today, and that's what I have. So I appreciate that.
You say here that your in your safety standards that all Joyride carts will be GPS.
So all of our vehicles currently, except for new vehicles that we have coming in, it takes about a week to install GPS monitors. That means they're GPS that can be tracked in real time. That information or passcode can be given to the board so they can see it at all times. So if there's an area that is geo-fenced, we know, y'all know where our vehicle is at all times. We can keep track of hours on the road, mileage, and what we've had an incident before is in the 12 South area. We get calls saying there's a Joyride cart. It's not a Joyride cart. It's residents who own vehicles that look like Joyride carts, but it's not us. And I've been able to actually transpose that data to say, here are all of our carts. This is where they have been for the last 2 weeks. Here's where they are currently. It's not our cart. So we're able to immediately prove and show where that cart is at all times.
I know that a concern of the boards, and I know we gave discretion to Mr. Fields to set up established routes and zones
Yes.
that the carts could, or the low-speed vehicles could operate. And I know a concern of the commission has always been enforcement of those zones.
Correct.
And routes. Are you finding that your drivers are staying in those zones and routes?
We do have a case where a driver will go out of that zone who's either a new driver or they weren't aware of the zones. When we train them, we give them the zone operation, and when we have our weekly and quarterly meetings, we go over that data. But that's also, if something were to be reported by a driver, by someone on the board, we can immediately pull that data and know. Also, too, you can request that data. So not only is it up to us, but if there was a review that had to go on, it can be performed, again, showing a certain cart, how many hours, mileage, and again, if there's something that's geo-fenced, we'll know that. We can also get alerts if that vehicle leaves the geo-fence area, so Joyride itself, we would know, call the driver, what are you doing? Whatever the excuse is, we handle that, but we get notified on that as well, too.
Can they turn off the GPS in
No.
there?
And it's also safety in case something happens, someone gets on the cart. Worst case scenario, this cart is being driven somewhere they're not supposed to. We get alerted. We can call the police immediately. Hey, this cart's here. We don't know why it's here. Driver's not answering. Obviously, that's alerting us something's going on.
Just as a follow-up to that particular line, I know you and this gentleman also mentioned the Titans thought
Yes.
process.
Mhm.
How does that work, considering that would be out of the boundaries of where you could go? The only way across is Woodland, and that would be closed to traffic.
Correct. We're working with a large sponsor with the Tennessee Titans who is requesting Joyride to be on site through the Tennessee Titans. We're also working with a parking lot company that's allowing our services to be on there. We're not saying we're going over the bridge. We would love to. That's probably for another day. But once we're over the bridge and in that district, again, new district, that's where we want to operate for game days. We're not concerned with getting people over the bridge. We wish we could do it. We know that we can't. But we are concerned with getting people who are going half a mile away, parking underneath the interstate, pulling those people in and giving them a drop-off point at a certain sponsor's tailgate, or being at least allowed partially onto the parking lot to provide that service.
Yeah, I know that's a local property, but
It is.
it probably also falls under the private entity with the Titans, which we don't really control any of that as
Correct,
long as you're on that.
and y'all don't, and that's the
Right.
thing. Right now, no one's allowed on the parking lot. You have to get exceptions with that,
Right.
and that's what we are currently in negotiations with, to
Okay.
get that exception from that private company
right.
to allow us. And that's what we're talking, we know downtown is going to keep growing, new pockets are going to open up, new districts we're opening up, so we're forward thinking and saying, we want to be in these active districts, not already when they get hot, but as they're developing and being an integral part of moving those people around too. And again, I would just say, look at the data. When they say, is there a need? When we're missing 50% of the calls, we become a disservice, in my opinion. So I'm just going off our raw data itself. Especially for CMA week, when we try to get more cards here, we couldn't because you had to have them stickered and owned. Uber and Lyft had a blackout zone. They actually partnered with us to pull people out of downtown to get them to load up zones. It's blocked off. We're able to kind of get in small nooks and crannies that normal vehicles aren't allowed to. So, for stuff like that is why we're also requesting a little bit more on the permits, because we can fulfill that. And as we have other locations, we're able to kind of ebb and flow. And, we don't want to keep, 55 carts here during slow season, but, when there's a need and we're missing over, we can only fulfill 55% of our phone calls to us. That's the demand. That's what we go after. And we wouldn't be purchasing more to lose money. We're in it to make money, but we're in it because people are using our service and it's growing.
The 24 carts you're applying for, are you planning to put those in service all year long, or just for special events?
They will be in service at certain points in Nashville. Having those permits just allows us to bulk up when we need to and slim down when we don't. Obviously, having 55 carts during the middle of December probably doesn't make sense. We like to slim down on what we've got, but our season ramps back up starting March through about the middle of November. Come to our lot any Friday or Saturday, all the carts are gone. We have drivers that we turn away. So again, we're going off the calls coming in, the amount of drivers that want to drive. If we have carts that get stacked up Friday and Saturday, we wouldn't be here. But the problem is we have more phone calls than we can field, and that's why we're here today.
You mentioned that your highest demand is typically between the hours of 5 p.m. and 7 p.m.
Correct.
And that is, in the letters we're getting as the commissioners, that's the time that people seem to complain the most about the downtown traffic is during rush hour. What can you address that point? Do you have a response to that?
The reason that we're on the roads that much is because parking's at a premium. We're taking a lot of restaurant people, or they have to park. We're on 2nd and Peabody. They actually park in our lot and behind us, so they're walking down. So these are the people calling us. They're doing shift changes. This is the pre-dinner crowd when people are in town. Hey, we need a ride. We need to go to dinner here. That was a concern because, we knew that high volume traffic times, Joyride would be looked upon as a hindrance. But our data is showing that's when the most amount of people are calling. It's a rush hour time, not only for people who are businesses downtown, but restaurant workers and guests, again, going to dinner, maybe getting pre-drinks somewhere as well too. And to that, our vehicles go 22 miles an hour. That doesn't sound like it's maybe enough speed. Speed limits are 35 miles per hour. Hillsborough Village is now lowering their 35 mile per hour speed limit zone down to 25 because they think the traffic is going too fast through Hillsborough Village. And be it what it may for speed limits downtown with a lot of walking and a lot of people on the sidewalks, but our vehicles, we like to say keep up with the flow of traffic. Is it going to be 35 miles per hour every time? No. Our vehicles are by law only able to go 25 miles per hour. But again, we wouldn't be up here if people weren't calling, weren't using the service and choosing to use us. We are a value service. We operate in a 2-mile radius only. I'd ask anyone in this room who has an alternative form of transportation if they will only do 2-mile rides. Big fat no, probably. But we're here because we're filling that niche with guests that didn't have that before. Yes.
Do you have any data that would support an argument that you're actually decreasing congestion by having additional cards?
I mean, that would be a traffic study to show that. I mean, I'm just showing you the data, the phone calls coming in, and the people that we're moving. These people who don't call us, are they calling Uber? Are they calling Lyfts and taxis? They could be. I don't know. Is that adding? But currently, we have 31 carts in operation. Any Uber, Lyft, or taxi service, how many thousands of cars, do they have? I can't answer that question. I would say we are probably helping, because getting another vehicle in when we have a vehicle that's not only skinnier but shorter goes in, but at the end of the day, we're providing a service that people don't want to call a taxi, or they don't want to do a $8 Uber ride, and we are tip-based. And that's what we do, and that's why people like us, and that's why we're kind of the go-to transportation for the downtown core, and 70% of our business comes from hotel concierges, because their people need a way to get around. So I would say we're helping, but I need a traffic study to back that up.
Would you be opposed, let's say we granted 24 additional permits, would you be opposed to us limiting those additional 24 from 5 to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday?
I don't know how you'd be able to limit just those, because we're just operational with our entire fleet.
Well, I guess the main concern is I would think the traffic is our main concern, correct? And especially people
Yep.
trying to get out of downtown at that 5 to 7 period. But until we see a traffic study, I'm not sure. I don't know how to address it.
Can I? No, you said you guys didn't have any recordable accidents for the last, or any you had to report to your insurance.
Yes.
So I'm assuming that means they didn't meet your deductible, or they weren't high enough. So you're not saying that you didn't have any accidents in the last 12 months.
No, any accident, our insurance says no matter what, call us and report it. We had one from not the last 12 months, but the 12 months prior. It was $115 where we hit someone's bumper, and it went to the insurance. It got claimed on that. So
No personal injury accidents?
But every accident that we have, our insurance says it doesn't matter if it's just a tap, reported, and they put it in there, because you just never know. You never know what these people they come back with. So we protect ourselves as much as possible.
Any other questions?
But we'll say we'll be as transparent as possible. What we can bring is, let's set some standards. Let's set some safety things that might be of concern. If there's people who are more vocal, let's sit down and talk with them. I'm open to anything. We're a 3-year-old business. We're learning lessons the hard way, trial by error. We want to be a part of Nashville as much as the next guy. And we love what we're doing, and we appreciate you all for being a forward-thinking board and seeing the value that we're bringing. And we can be a great value service if done correctly. Where I feel the problem is we just let anybody with no experience or very inexperienced saying, well, me too, I want cards because these guys got them, but they have no plan of action to back up. That's where we get in trouble, because it's not these guys they talk about, it's Joyride. Joyriders. Sometimes we get phone calls, it was Joyride. It was the other guy, but people are just so ingrained to say Joyride. And we have to back it up. And that was the main reason that we put GPSs in there. So where was it? What time? That wasn't us. Here's the data. Here you go. This is the cart number. This is the driver. This is the exact time. They were on the opposite end of the city. Another company or someone else who has a Joyride or a golf cart, as a residential vehicle, which they do in 12 South. I don't know if you've been down there. There's several that we get calls. We get calls, a couple times a month. So, is there any other questions I can have, or concerns? I mean, what's...
Thank you. Mr. Fields, would you please pass me the letters that we were going to enter into the record? I was at least going to announce the authors of those letters and whether they were for or against.
There are 2 additionals. That one is from Councilman Elrod, and I could share it. One is also from the Taxi Cab Drivers Association.
They for or against?
Against.
What is the reason?
I can share probably with the chair's indulgence. I can at least share the councilman's, if that's, get logged in here.
While you're pulling that up,
Sure.
I'll go ahead with the few that we have here. Mr. Brett Withers, Metro Council person for District 6, submitted a written letter to the commission indicating that he was against finding a need for additional vehicles at this time, request that the completion of the traffic study be completed. We have Mr. Ron Zokeler, a resident from the Encore building. He has also submitted a letter to Mr. Fields indicating that he was against a proposal for finding a need for additional low-speed vehicles, as well as pedal cabs and pedal taverns. We have a an email from Mr. Benjamin Habte, who has submitted an email to Mr. Fields indicating that he is in favor of granting additional permits for low-speed vehicles and pedicabs.
Do we know who he is?
Looks like he's just a citizen.
From Councilman Elrod, he apologized for not being able to be present. He says, I would respectfully ask the commission to issue no new permits for carriages, pedal carriages, low-speed vehicles, or any other similar vehicles until at least the downtown traffic study is complete. While these vehicles generate tourist revenue and contribute to the downtown, they contribute to stall downtown hospitals and entertainment atmosphere. There has been so much growth in the downtown area, should be given time to absorb it and see its effects.
Can we defer action until October? Defer any of it?
Yeah, I think you can.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this issue? If you'll please step forward.
Hello, Commissioners. Good to see you again. My name is Tadisa. I'm from Green Cab Taxi Company. I am opposing joyride permit, additional permit. If you remember last hearing, Nash Vegas was asking 100 taxi permit because I'm assuming joyride is part of public necessity, right?
That's correct.
So with your decision, no more additional permit for Nash Vegas. So you passed that law. So the same thing, well, we have to have the same rules for, joyride because they are, any taxi driver, we cannot go to a park and a hotel, just sit, wait for customer, and whenever they walk out, you need a ride or that's a solicitation. Taxi cabs, we have stands, we wait unless we have been called by doorman, we go in a hotel, pick up the people. But these guys, they park only like 3-4 of them, wait over them, where people walk out, they asking the people, they pick them, that's illegal. The same thing all hotels. I remember, I think last time, I don't know when was, you passed some regulations. They shouldn't be go to west of 40 or something, but now they go everywhere. I could be mistaken, but I heard, I wasn't here that day, so I oppose. Please don't give any additional permit. Also, gentleman said they never involved with an accident, but they have accident. It shows here on YouTube. 2015, 500,000 lawsuit. That was on Channel 42. Thanks for listening to me.
Thank you, Mr. Essa. Sir?
Mr. Chairman, since he's present, I won't have to read his letter. I'll let Abraham Durbo make his own presentation based on the letter he sent to me.
Okay, thank you everybody to sit here and give your time to make this public safe and make all permitted transportation to be regulated. And this good job, I really appreciate all of you, including Mr. Bill. And also thank you for mentioning my email. So I am writing this email concerning about the public hearing on low speed vehicle and the paid cap to grant the more permit. Many drivers called me and complain about this transportation is not safe, not fair, and not legal. They are absolutely right. These golf carts are worst when it comes to taking the taxi business in downtown and for public safety at the same time. So that I ask you to not support this bill to pass because they are not fair. They are misleading the passengers, saying free ride and charging whatever they want up on the destination. They even do not follow their favorite maps, which you guys think they can follow, but I have still a document if you want to. I have a picture which I took last night when they driving with me on Broadway. They are treated as a first sons of our time. I don't know. This is something we need to figure it out. Every rules is tested and applied on taxi cabs and the taxi companies. So the Nashville Taxi Drivers Association will believe that TLC Taxi Drivers Association will believe that TLC refusing to grant more permit for taxi company and granting more permits for low-speed vehicles shows clear discrimination between taxi companies and these other transportation. If this happens, TLC may decide to not appreciate the traditional taxi on its historic city, Nashville. So I'm out of time. One thing I want to tell you is, I know it's very confusing. Everybody come here and they speak like true things looks like, but if you guys keep asking questions, maybe you will find out what's right. Actually, I see some questions you guys ask, that legitimate questions. I really appreciate you. If you see the safety of the public, the state rule and the federal rule what say about low-speed vehicles and the golf carts. And also there is no clear identification between low-speed and the golf carts. So they say low-speed vehicles, but they bring the golf cart, they drive with us. It's not safe. It's not just to increase the taxi companies and make them low in the city, these low-speed vehicles. They are not fair, they are not safe, and they are not legal. So we need to stop them where they are. We need to see everybody to work the business in the city in a regular manner, in the safe way, and the equal manner. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Sir?
Hello, Mr. Fields. I am Corey Patrick. It's my first time speaking to you all. So I'm not going to go over everything everybody else has said. I'd like to state the obvious. These aren't vehicles. It clearly states in a couple sections. LSVs exclude golf carts, which is something that's designed for a golf course. And I've spoke with Mr. Fields about this, and some of the questions I wonder, and I have, is what the difference in a joyride technician or a mechanic who he's hired and a manufacturer to install what they have, or makeshift rearview mirrors, makeshift blinkers, things like this. And the difference is a manufacturer's license. Today, and one of the biggest portions that leads me and drives my interest to this city is advancements in technology. We have them today. 3 years ago, golf carts were something that were cheap, they were efficient, and they worked for these guys. Today, they're not safe. Even the safety features they have, I've personally witnessed accidents. For instance, their seatbelts. Their seatbelts hang off into the road, and I've personally witnessed them hit the tires and come back in and hit the people. Like they said, they have, he just told you that they can't even keep up with the demand that they have today. And here we are. We have a company that we don't know how many carts are broke down. We don't know if they're asking for 24 more carts to replace the carts that are broke. We don't know what their safety procedures are. They showed you a lot of stats, and I'm wondering why their golf carts don't reflect like those beautiful binders in front of you. They don't even have a speedometer. Nobody that drives them knows how fast they're going. Most of the drivers actually, and this isn't just hearsay, there are drivers that go in these vehicles and train without a permit. One of the sections in the permit that says for hire is, it is mandatory that your price must be posted. And to say free, however we accept tips, tips is considered remuneration. It is paid for transportation. And I have a feeling that most of the calls that these people are getting are because they advertise false. They tell people we have a free ride. The size of the vehicle proves nothing to me other than the fact that they are actually able to go over sidewalks.
May I ask what company you're with?
I'm not with a company. I have a transportation, and another thing, I actually do own a free transportation. Mr. Fields can vouch to that. I have been ordered by the judges to cease and desist. We have gone through every single regulation, and this man from Joyride has just stood up here and bald-faced lied to you all. There are free transportations. There are ways to do it. We actually own a donation-based transportation service that actually accepts donations to keep Nashville green and are sent to Public Works. We are working with the new director, Mr. Johnny, Mr. Jerry, through sanitation and things like that. So I am in these streets.
What's the name of your company?
It's Solar Ride. It's not an actual for-hire company. We are playing around with Public Works and things like that. And for instance, with what he just asked about expanding, sounds like most of the reason for expanding is to hit areas that are restricted. I mean, they are simply restricted. And crossing over the bridge, I've spoken with several people at the Titan Stadium, and I can assure you that's nothing more than hearsay. I think we should really look into how these drivers and how these people that are driving these vehicles are trained. I know that even when you take an hourly job to work on a hospital or something, you're sent through OSHA training, you're sent through certification. These people, half of the people that are driving are musicians. They are still getting used to the growing development and operating in these areas that are under construction. Most of our sidewalks are gone. We promote a cleaner environment because, like I said, due to advancements in technology, we actually have low-speed vehicles. We have all-electric vehicles. I own a 15-passenger vehicle that has drove over 4,000 miles in the city limits, and we carry a full $1 million policy. We actually have no incidents. I'm not going to stand here and tell you that I've never been rear-ended by a taxi, because we have been rear-ended by taxis and things, and mostly due to the fact that most of your taxis are competing with Joyride. Like I say, they advertise for free, and there's a lot of things, like for instance, I mean, just asking to extend their golf carts, they're going to be asking to come back and to change rules that we've already set, because he just told us where they're wanting to use them at. Most of the visitor center and the advertisement, they approach us all the time. It's a $580 fee, and you actually get to advertise your brochures. You get to go in and talk, and they provide these ambassadors, which are merely just information, historical information about the tours, which I know for a fact that, and he's not going to tell you, we've had incidents where we know that people have actually called and they've had to refund money because a lot of their drivers are trying to charge for tours and just giving them misinformation. I truly care about where this city's going, and I care even more about where we have been. And what's fun for me is when we actually get to tell groups and people this about our city. Proven fact, the majority of the people that actually get on our shuttle don't even know Nashville is the capital, much less where James Polk's buried, or the list goes on. We're talking about a point-to-point false advertisement transportation that I know for a fact. I took a joyride to this council meeting for the first time in my life, and I know for a fact the driver personally told me that it is not a good opportunity for people. It is not what they promised, and they do have several golf carts that are out of commission. And I just ask that maybe the city, maybe this council could review advancements in technology and maybe actual vehicles that are, because one thing is manufacturers require certain things. They require you to have a licensed mechanic in this city, which is something that the city doesn't have to. When you go on, a lot of these requirements that they are saying they're meeting, that you guys are responsible for drafting, most of your manufacturers actually require that if you purchase a vehicle from a manufacturer. And I think that's about it, other than the fact that most of these drivers are using their cell phone. There's a single individual driving these golf carts that have no control over speed, don't know how they're going, and they're talking on the phone trying to run a dispatch system. I think we're really promoting a lot of negativity for the city because we're not Florida. We don't actually have subdivisions that golf carts work in. If the city needs more, I think, electric vehicles that are golf cart style, maybe more carriages. These are the things that people actually like, because I know I personally picked up close to 800 people, and not one has ever actually considered calling a joyride once they actually get to ride on a true medium speed vehicle. I think that's it.
So your company operates a solar-powered vehicle?
Yes, sir, and it's not actually a company. We actually went out and we had a lot of slack from these guys. I could show you videos for days about how they mistreat, me and I don't have employees. I am my own personal driver. I've got over 4,000 miles in 180 hours. I have more time on my electric vehicle in this city than it takes to actually get a helicopter's pilot's license. And I could tell you a lot of what we do. For instance, you see them all the time, and all you have to do is notice. He talks about safety features and things. I've never in my life seen anyone allowed to go to work in flip-flops, especially driving a vehicle. And that's one of the most common things next to the phone. And it's just small things like this that, and maybe I'm going a little overboard, but I truly do care about the preservation in this city. This city, I live downtown. I've been in Rolling Mill Hills for about 6 years now. I've worked with several apartment companies and things like that. I know people and what they want. And for instance, like the old trolley cars, when they did away with people walking, it really discredits the businesses. And I think really we're not giving these people, they say they promote businesses, and all I see is beer advertisement. I see kids on Bud Light golf carts that are hanging off the side with the seat belts flapping in the wind when all it takes is to bump into the tire, They say they're going 22 miles an hour, but they also say they're free and that tips aren't considered remuneration, but clearly it states that it is. We were, yes, sir. We actually had a ticket we were dropping off. I live in Rolling Mill Hills, and we actually offer, the majority of our community is starting out. People that see us, they hop on, they get away to get downtown, and we have all the permits that are necessary. Yes, sir. There are actually no medium speed requirements or regulations that are any additional over, what we carry now. We were, however, ordered a cease and desist due to the fact that no one knew what it was. Nobody had seen this vehicle, and I think it was Judge Blackburn, I believe. Yeah, just wanted to know, was it safe? Who was operating it? I've reached out to Mr. Billy, back in the beginning of the year to say, look, let me just pay for background checks and stuff just so I can show you who we are. And we've gone around and around and around, and it's a lot more to operating.
Sorry, I know nothing about medium speed vehicles. How fast is a medium speed vehicle?
Medium speed vehicle is only 5 miles faster, so we're capable of 35 miles an hour. I know there was a new revision that actually, it used to be 40, which permits us to operate in speed limits of 40 miles an hour, which is actually something that, if it would have been thought out, we may actually have a medium speed vehicle for hire instead of low speed. Because like I say, they had them 3 years ago. They just weren't as noticeable. They've made some changes and things like that, and they're not just standard vehicles. A lot of these guys actually didn't know that you could buy an electric vehicle that is one of the safest vehicles on the road. It's a 6,000-pound capacity vehicle that operates, that can hold up to 10, 12 people. 15 sets of seat belts. We have solar panels on top, inertia assistance in the front, literally 0 emissions. And it will do what 3 golf carts will do with only 1 operator, not 3. I understand that, you know, it's not up to the city to make money off of this, and that's why I'm standing here. If it was about money for the city, I can assure you I would try to raise it and donate it before I asked you all to count on it from 24 more golf carts, because that's 24 more beer advertisements riding down the road. That's 24 more, you know, restaurants that they don't even take you to. I mean, half of what they advertise for, I'm sure, is a great deal of their income. Of course, that's neither here nor there, but it's a major influence that I think could be shown. It's just like their safety operations. It's just like their training procedures. I mean, the list goes on about what they could be doing, and I can assure you 24 more carts is not the answer. I mean, he literally just admitted they can't even keep up with half of the demand now, and I personally think that's due to the fact they false advertise. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I make a response to that?
I'm going to go ahead and let you come up. I'm going to limit you to 2 minutes.
I'll do it under 2 minutes. I'm just going to respond to that. So this gentleman, when he first came to Nashville, I actually introduced myself. He said that he was above the law. He didn't need a permit. He actually came to our company to see if he could affiliate with our company. So everything he was saying today, I believe, is a direct association that we told him, no, he was not legal. He's a medium-speed vehicle. As Billy and the board knows, you have to have a permit for that. In terms of certified mechanic, yes, you get E-Z-Go certified. Do you not have cars that get worked on by other people as well too? So you train these people, they get certified in small engine repair because that's what we have. These are street legal vehicles. They are sold as such. The manufacturer sells them as such. Also, the gentleman back here has employed one of our drivers as of recently, who has a low-speed permit with us that we'll address with this gentleman later on. But the fact being made, I mean, that was great, and he can say what he wants. He's operating the same type of business with no license, no permit, and he can say whatever he wants to because he's, and what he, in my opinion, considers he's above the law. He has no regulation that regulates what he does, and he thinks he can get away with it. He's making a mockery of himself, of our industry, and he's right. There's nothing to control him, so he can do what he wants and say what he wants with no repercussions because he doesn't have to come back and address the board. He is just advertising his company to grow his company. Don't let him fool you. The advertisers that we have come to us. They spend money so we can purchase more vehicles, which employs more people to drive. We have 60 people, including one of our drivers who drives with him, and we have employees that have been with us for 2.5 years. I'll be happy to give you their names and numbers. You can call them for the opportunities that we do give them. A lot of the people we have are Nashville musicians, servers, or people just looking to make a little extra money on the side. We're not saying that we're here to make HCA careers out of these people. We're giving these people an opportunity that I don't understand. We're in the same industry and business that he's saying that we're different. So I'm sorry that we do get advertised, and we do that, but we have Martin's Barbecue as well as other restaurants on there, not all beer sponsors. So anyways, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak on this issue before we, sir?
Sorry, I'll try to make this short. My name is Ebenezer Mulugeta. I am the manager at Nashville Checker Cab. And I'm not going to sit up here and tell you, not to give somebody permits if they have the need for them. If he's saying what he's saying is true, that 50% of the calls that call in want a ride and they cannot fill it, I understand where that comes from, and I understand that if they have the need, yes, fill it. The one concern I do have is, with new technology like this, with a new type of passenger for hire vehicle, we have a chance to let it get out of hand. A couple years ago, we all know that another type of technology for passenger for hire vehicle came to Tennessee. We tried to regulate it. It got under-regulated and pretty much has taken over the passenger for hire vehicle market in Nashville. So that's what I'm asking, if we let these people, get all the passenger for hire vehicles we have. I mean, I counted for pedal cab, there's 51 permits being asked for today. And then for pedal carriages, there's 10 permits. So we're looking at 61 new vehicles in downtown Nashville working at the same time where, we've come to you every month and told you the business downtown is dead. It's been dead for a while and it's getting worse. I don't believe adding 61 more cars downtown is going to help the economy or the traffic. Traffic's horrible already. Adding golf carts or low-speed vehicles, whatever you want to call them, they are slower and they tend to slow down traffic. When I see a golf cart in my lane, I tend to slow down. I tend to drive, more cautious because I know if I hit a car, there's a bump. But if I hit a golf cart, there's a serious, there's going to be serious repercussions from that. And when I go downtown, I'm not, if the Joyride gentleman is true, he's saying, all the cabs or all his vehicles are being hired out and he can't get any more customers, then yes, I get it. Give out as many as you can if it's being filled. But, I just see a book full of numbers that are made in-house. I see a bunch of, propositions that, are great. GPS, stickers on the window, insurance rates that are higher, 500,000 or $1 million. That's all great. That should be regulated. Just like taxi cabs, we have to have all those. We don't get a choice. We don't get to say, we can't have GPS. We're supposed to have GPS, and we do have GPS. So if every car gets that, that's great too. However, 61 cars in 1 month of just, more golf carts, more, medium speed vehicles, whatever you want to call them. I have personally never ridden in a Joyride. I just never had to. So I'm not going to tell you that they're bad vehicles. I have seen some of them, break traffic laws, but so does every other passenger for hire vehicle. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. At this point in time, we'll close the public hearing regarding the request for certificate of necessity and convenience for low-speed vehicles.
I move deferral to the October meeting and the delivery of the traffic plan from Metro Public Works.
Second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Next, we have another public hearing, this one concerning requests for certificate of necessity and convenience for pedal vehicles, which would include pedicabs and pedal carriages. Mr. Fields?
Very much like the last one in terms of the process. Applications have been accepted. Ones that are here, there were, and I should have said for all of them, there were some that failed to meet the deadline, and I suspect you're going to hear from at least one today. If you determine that first they have to show there's a need, the need has to be demonstrated the same way the low-speed vehicles did. If you determine there's a need, then you would go into a second phase of a discussion to determine who they would be awarded to.
Just one unfinished piece of business on the prior, from the prior item on the agenda. The letters that we referred to that were submitted by citizens and council persons will be part of the record and can be viewed along with the meeting minutes after today. I've got 3 requests to speak on this issue. I assume we've got a number of individuals that will speak on behalf of the companies. I'll go ahead and start with the companies. Nashville Pedicab, is there a representative here?
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Patrick Lynch. This is Dustin Olson. He's our manager for Nashville Pedicab, and we are requesting 7 more permits for our fleet. The reason that we're doing this is we are still a relatively new industry. We started 3 years ago. It definitely took us some time to figure out how to successfully maneuver in Nashville and work really well, and I think we've been doing that for about a year. And in that time, we've seen like an uptick in ridership and then a larger driver demand. So we are asking for 7 more permits, and we are going to run 5 of those bikes all the time. We'll have 2 bikes that just kind of hang out in our shop. And if there's ever an issue, a bike can come in and a driver doesn't have to wait for an hour for his bike to get repaired by our mechanic, and the bike can just go right back out. But pretty simple stuff. We have more demand and we want more bikes.
Any questions for Nashville Pedicab? Thank you.
Thanks.
Next, we have a request for one vehicle and one certificate for event center rides.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Kristen White, and this is Joseph Huff. He's my manager and guru coach, if you want to say. We are looking forward to starting a company with a pedicab, mostly for our touring service. In the downtown Nashville area, we do look forward to doing other businesses, well, services, I should say, with our bikes. We would consist of cargo. If you open your pamphlets to the cargo area, you will see that we would like to do stuff like maybe holding hands with Jimmy John's, just for example, or Budweiser, just stuff like that, and sell water and stuff like that. We also would like to do events for the TSU, like the Merit Class that is coming up. We would like to hold hands with them just to get more of a diverse kind of thing going on. And also, one of the things I also like about our bikes, we were going to try to do a advertisement for larger and small companies where we could use our bikes to help that company or help other companies to grow. So that was one of the things that I really liked. And also, we would like to use our bikes, well, when we get more bikes, to help provide jobs for the communities also. And Joseph has other things that he would like to speak on.
You can go ahead.
Hey, good evening. As Esther was saying, I feel that Nashville can use more of a pedicab and in this and more diverse areas. As myself being a person who worked with tickets and street encroachment, I noticed Nashville is growing and still growing. You know, they added another hotel. So that is room for this bike in the pedicab business to grow. As Joyride said, that it is a niche out there. If it wasn't, most of these people, I don't see them at 12 or 1 o'clock at night. Most everybody's asleep. And when they come from the bars, it's best to have somebody there to take them to the hotel, since you got like 2 or 3 brand new hotels, then to hop into a vehicle sometime. And Uber, they're not gonna go down the street. They're not gonna do that. The cab's not gonna go down the street. So you'll have a pedicab or a golf cart to go down the street. And that's one thing that is, especially when you're coming from the municipal, they want a short ride to the Omni Hotel. So you got a pedicab, you have a joyride, a low-speed vehicle, which we want to get into. You have those things which are better than a cab. And second is the tourism with the pedicab. We're not right now, we're not into the taking people, giving them if you want a cab service through a pedicab, that's not us. They got the white cabs out there. If you see this cab here, this is more of a luxury type of pedicab. We really don't even consider it a pedicab. If you look at it, it's not a yellow cab. It's something that's unique that you really haven't seen in Nashville. And I think we can bring that uniqueness to the 21st century of Nashville as Nashville grows. And as I was saying, and she was saying, the cargo service, we get more pedicabs, will be I know this doesn't have anything with the board, but we'll go into the cargo business also. Maybe as Nashville has a hotel, certain hotels want to need stuff transferred from this place to that place, and we'll provide that need. As you know, it's real hectic downtown to drive. So you'll have that need also. in and she was saying a diverse area, TSU homecoming game. You don't find pedicabs there. You don't find golf carts there. Meeting that need of the people, concerts, a scene. I'm there at these places. I do the street vending. I know what's going on. And so I think this service and our service will be a little bit more, competitive with what's going on in Nashville. And speaking as that joyride issue in the cabs, they were the first people who brought that type of industry here. They feel that niche. Everybody's getting mad, but they did it. If they want to add some more cabs, it's half and half, but they feel the niche, and it's a niche that need to be filled. And I don't think the other services are filling it, just for short distance.
Is the bike that you have here, is it motor assisted?
No. I'm not gonna get on it, but it's her business. I'm not gonna get it. I'm gonna try the cargo in the advertisement. If you see the Pepsi, we wanna maybe go with. You ever seen the Red Bull that's doing the CMAs that hands out Red Bulls? Well, might want to have a bike like that goes around, and they hire for us, and we can hand them Red Bulls out in that, like that, like Mountain. Have you ever seen energy drink? Monster energy drinks, how they get a truck and they just hands out energy drinks on the ride. So we might want to do something like that.
So are you planning on carrying passengers at all? Or
yes. If you see that pedicab, it's made into a two, change it within minutes. So we can do both. Just that one bike is just one, but when we get another bike, we'll be able to do that also.
So you've never actually done this service?
We tested it out. I can't say that I've done the service before, but we marketed before. I have.
With these particular bikes?
No, that not that particular bike. No, that bike is a 21st. That company might be 5 or 6 years. That's a new type of, as they say, pedicab tricycle bicycle. That's a 21st century type bicycle now. It's not like the old ones. I don't know what the Nashville what they're bringing out. I think they tried it, but this is something that's new, and I think it looks good on the Nashville streets. We brought it out before downtown, and a lot of people liked it, like the look.
How do you plan to go about your training for this?
Well, like anything else, we have an area that we'll get a person and let them try, as you hit about 21, you know how to ride a bike, but we'll put them on the street and show them the bike rules and everything that goes along with riding a regular bike. It will be some training because those bikes cost a lot of money. We're not just going to let somebody out there and, mess up a bike like that. I don't think anybody starting a company don't want to see anybody hurt on any type of vehicle or anything because they want their company to grow. Nobody.
You already have a facility to store them?
Oh, yes, in East Nashville. Yes, sir. All that's taken care of. It's nothing. You're
asking for one bike right now?
Yes, sir. It's a startup because if you're in the pedicab business, you start looking. There's different type of models of pedicabs that's coming out all the time. People with engineers and they coming up with yes, sir.
Let me ask you this question. I read the last 2 pages of your pamphlet you gave us, and it says that you'll fit and tailor each tour to clients at TSU and Jefferson Street.
Yes.
I caught something you said a moment ago that pedicab's not over there right now.
No, sir. No. You don't see them in that side of the neighborhood really, giving out tours.
Is it your intention to actually serve that area?
Yes, sir. Because a lot of people who like a minority who comes from Nashville in the area, so some downtown, they would ask me, well, what's to do? Where can we go? And a lot of people, like, I don't want to get my secret out, but a lot of people does not hit a lot of areas yet that Nashville historically has to offer. They do not know about it.
A business plan showing that there's a need for a pedicab over there?
Well, the business plan is for the whole area, not just for that area, but the whole entire Nashville area. That area has been excluded, just like some of Music Row area.
I'm just trying to get to whether there's actually a need over there, if people would use it.
Well, I think so.
Okay.
And
why do you say that?
Because especially doing the TSU homecomings and FIST, stuff like that, I think and then when they have that, just like this classic girl to come up, we'll see who will fit that need because I don't think that need ever been filled. since the 3 years I've been here. I mean, since the 3 years I've seen the pedicab business here.
And I appreciate your pamphlet. There's a lot of information in here, but I didn't see a business plan. Do you have insurance?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we will. We have, as the lady spoke to us, she said upon the giving us certificate, we will have the insurance. We talked to her with the agency and everything. Everything's covered.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
For clarification, cargo, if all you're going to transport is cargo, then this, I mean, I'm just saying, if you start this with just cargo, this commission has no authority unless you're transporting passengers. So I
we're gonna do.
oh, I understand. I just want to explain to you, if you want to begin a cargo business, that's a completely different issue. Okay.
And I suppose just bidding
Correct.
would be fine.
Correct.
I mean,
As
not,
long-
not under this.
Correct.
Yeah, so
Only
you
if
can do
you're
vending.
transporting passengers.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Middle Tennessee Bike Taxi.
Hey there, guys.
Hello.
My name is Nick Ingram. I'm the owner and operator of Middle Tennessee Bike Taxi. Just a one-man band. Been doing it for over a year. Originally started with Nashville Pedicab. Rode for them for almost a year. Switched over to Middle Tennessee, or switched over to Music City Rickshaw. Rode for them for several months, and it's just in the in-between time before I got my my permit for myself. So, not really here to bash anybody else or tell you not to approve anyone. Just kind of trying to do my own thing. Have $1 million insurance. Everything else covered for the most part. So, if you have any questions, I don't really have much to say.
How long have you been doing it?
A little over a year. Anyone else?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Pedal Chariots LLC.
Sorry, I feel like I'm crouching down a little bit to the mic. My name is Sean Orphy. I'm the owner and operator for Pedal Chariots LLC. My background, before I started doing pedicabs, I was an engineer for 6 years, mechanical. You have a lot of maintenance aspect on that. But, when Nashville Pedicab started 3 years ago, I was one of the original riders. And during that time, I spent a lot of it as both an assistant manager and a manager. Safety is a really big thing for me. I went through really extensive safety training. I actually failed new hires on their safety training drive. I didn't feel like I had control of the vehicle. That's gonna be the same thing with my fleet. And even if it's a top earner, if they do something I seem unsafe, I have a history of suspending that driver or letting them go. I'll never put, profits ahead of safety. Sorry, I have a little bit of lump in my throat here today. But in addition to safety, I do carry $2 million insurance in the fleet. 10 sounds like a big number. That's really only gonna be peak times, CMAs, big concerts. Typically, you're only gonna see 5 to 7 of the bikes on the street. You're just not gonna convince 10 drivers that on a Monday night with nothing going on, they're gonna be that much demand out there. The tends to have for peak times when you can do it without having to go to Billy every time there's an event coming to town, get a special event permit. Normally, you're going to be operating about 5 to 7 bikes. I know there's been a lot of concern about the downtown rush hour, that 5 to 7. Be honest, with pedicabs, we're a little bit of a different service. And our peak times typically tend to be that very late night coming out of the bar. Sorry, I'm trying to get in the 2-minute clock here. During rush hour, you can't really, unless we have a call passenger already wanting to do us, we don't really want to sit there in the stop and go traffic or rush hour and take in small, smelling all the smog and whatnot. It's just, it's not really our thing. Also, the bikes are only 50 inches wide. We're pretty easy to get around as far as, the downtown congestion. And the big thing I kind of want to point out, too, is it's not really just the downtown. Nashville's growing all around. There's a lot of demand for an environmentally friendly service in the Midtown area, West End. Germantown's growing like crazy. Anyone can see all the cranes and the new condos going up over there. The bikes will be pretty spread out. And thank you for your time. Do you have any questions? Like I said, I have 3 years experience both training and maintaining a fleet.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we've got some pedal carriage requests as well. First is Country Music Crawler.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Susan Pisatola. I'm the owner of the Country Music Crawler. We've had a great, successful first year, exactly 1 year. We're requesting 2 additional bikes, one being we do not have a backup one if I happen to have vehicle breakdown or an emergency. I feel the need to have an additional bike on standby. Number 2 is the demand. It is just overwhelming. I give away a lot of business, and the other pedal taverns in town too. We all work together and we send each other customers when we're full and booked. Just this past weekend, I had to turn away 21 phone calls in less than 2 days of business that I couldn't meet. Other thing, my company offers to tourists a more attractive package compared to the other taverns. I'm the cheapest in town. I'm a retired vet, and every veteran rides free. I don't care if it's 15 veterans on the tavern at one time. The firemen, the policemen, they all ride free. My bride even, because this is now, I don't know if you know, Nashville is probably the second or third on the list for bachelorette parties. We're about to outdo Vegas. So my brides ride free. So my business is booming. I've not changed my staff. My staff and my main driver, my training person, also works for Gray Line of Tennessee here in Nashville. Been there over 20 years. He is my maintenance, my driver training main guy to go to. In fact, he's driving the tavern today. In the need for the 2, I'm also partnering up with Nash Vegas Bachelorette Parties because of the demand. This is Brett Fick, and we hope by the end of the year to have a contract in place because we're nearing the end of the season. You know, around Halloween-ish turns code, and I'm not a code person. And we start back around the 1st of March, and I was hoping to have these requests granted and to have the bikes here probably around the 1st of March.
I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Brett. I'm the Brett Fick, the owner of NashVegasBachelorettes.com. Just to tell you a little bit about Susan and I and why we partnered. I have had a demand through running the Nash Vegas services through bachelorette parties, and I do a lot of pub crawls down 2nd Avenue and Broadway, and I have not had the privilege to own pedal taverns because I've been saving money to do so, and I'm not an expert on it, but I know Susan works really close with Mr. Fields, so I ended up partnering with her because she's the person that's going to be operating the bikes. I've already got an order placed for 2. We do have the capacity for 4. I did 150 pub crawls last year, and over 100 of them also rode the pedal taverns. I'm 28 years old. I'm a young entrepreneur. I'm just trying to get my piece of the pie, just like some of these other people here. I give them my business all year. So I'm just asking you, let me have the piece of my cake and eat it too.
Any questions for us?
What are your operating hours?
We run Thursday through Sunday, 4 days a week. We typically start about 1 in the afternoon. We break for rush hour. Basically on Fridays from 4 to 6 we do not run. Saturdays and Sundays we run about all day, from early in the morning to the evening.
Until when?
On Saturday and Sundays?
What time in the evening?
Our last one, on Saturday nights at 10 o'clock, and let me back that up. Friday night's 10 o'clock, Saturday night 9 o'clock.
So you're off the road, or is that
No,
your
that's our last tour.
Yeah.
So you're not off the road until midnight or 11?
About 11.
Before you answer that question, I
Yeah.
want you to know that my bedroom is on the corner of 3rd and Demumbrium.
Yes, ma'am.
And now answer the question, when's the last time that you run, what is the latest that you run your cars, your bikes?
10 o'clock is our last tour, and we finish about 11:45.
Okay.
Yes. And I'm aware of where you're at. And I just want to add one more thing real quick. To prepare myself a little bit for this meeting also, I hired a couple random college girls my daughter goes to college with. We went outside of your complex of the Encore, the corner of the Southern, even talked to your valet people, even talked to somebody that lives, I think, 2 floors above you on the window side. We talked to, on that day, August 6th and 7th, to 62 people. 9 people said they're somewhat loud, but they understand their purpose and what they do. No major complaints. The other tourists noted that they just see everybody's having a great time and they think it's neat, to see one. They've never seen one. August 13th and 14th, we covered Broadway and surveyed 188 people. Mostly tourists, obviously, not the locals, and not one negative comment that we received.
I'm guessing none of them were trying to go to sleep.
Right.
No. And to your answer, and with you, the encore, I've got with Mr. Fields, and we no longer turn on 3rd past your building since that night. And the reason we were out late that night, just FYI to everybody, a pedicab had an accident in front of our tavern where their guests, 2 men on there, a man and a son. The son fell off, completely off, busted his head on the concrete, and my server got off with our first aid kit, performed first aid, and waited till we called the police, and we waited to assist him. That was the night we passed your building late, and Mr. Fields is aware of that night, because he asked me the same thing, why was I out so late? But that was why. We tended to the person that got hurt.
Also, one thing that you guys should be aware of too, as far as the petty taverns, we receive a lot of phone calls for people trying to book them last minute. Typically, there's about a 3 to 6 week wait to book a pedal tavern right now, so the demand's there, the money's there. We understand the traffic issues that people have concerns with, and also the noise complaints. By the way, they're opening a diner across the street from you, open until 2:30 in the morning, so that's going to be added to the noise around there. But the demand is there, and some of the companies around here are starting to really monopolize the industry. We're just a real small portion of it. We 10 plus pedal taverns. Our 2, 3 pedal taverns total, aren't really going to make a significant impact on the traffic. Like she said, we don't operate in a lot of the traffic hours, and we also offer an affordable option to people. A lot of people call us telling us they don't want to pay $40 per person plus pay for their own drinks. Speaking of drinks, we also want to offer an alternative. I had a bachelorette party from Salt Lake City, Utah call me, and they don't drink alcohol, so we did a tea party for them. Also, if you do drink, wine tasting, things, kind of change up the environment a little bit with this.
And I want to mention one more thing if I can. I know I'm at my time. Talking about the letters and the complaints coming in from horse carriages and taxi people and all that, honestly, I would spend hours if I had to sit down and write down all my complaints. I think I told y'all last year, y'all was sitting on the board, I ride my tavern quite frequently. I work downtown and I'll stop and hop on it. I ride it very frequently. I cannot tell you how many taxis has flipped a U-turn right in front of us on 3rd Avenue by Honky Tonk Central and caused us to slam our brakes numerous times, and I was on board. Numerous times my drivers have called and towed me, and I have never wrote a letter or complained. We've had a horse carriage boot us over one time and smacked in front of us, which we slowed up, let them over with no warning at all. But like I said, honestly, I'd spend probably 20 hours a week if I sat down and wrote down all the complaints, the other ones that violate the different traffic violations downtown to us.
All right, well, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Nashville Bar Bike LLC.
Hey guys, Patrick Lynch. I'm also the owner of Nashville Pedicab, and we are also making an attempt to start a pedal tavern company. We have just bought our first property in Nashville, so we're putting down roots here. We're going to be in Germantown, right off of Jefferson, and it's like this is a big step for us. We have extra space for where we are. Between the two of us, we have 18 years of experience in pedal industry as maintenance managers, riders, every facet of it. This is a really great opportunity. I think this industry has done really well to be successful, and we're also just kind of like these guys. They brought up a lot of good points about offering alternatives to just straight drinking hardcore on a bicycle pedal taverns. So we're trying to come up with other options, and we're hoping that you guys consider giving us, we also don't want 7 permits, we only need 4. Do you guys have any questions? That's about the parking that we have at our new location.
Your operating hours is about the same.
Yeah, it would probably be like the last one goes out at 9 o'clock.
Thank you.
Thanks.
615 Pedal Tours.
Afternoon. My name is Justin Ackerman. This is my business partner, Kim Smith. And what we're requesting is a forward-facing, bench seat, pedal-operated touring vehicle, essentially. We could fit up to, 6 people, including the 2 of us as operators. And it's mainly a family-friendly alternative to downtowns, pedal bars, and all that kind of stuff.
Do you have a picture of what that would look like?
We don't technically have a picture with us, which I feel that I probably should have brought so that y'all could see it. We did meet with Billy Fields earlier this year and showed them a picture. Yes, so that he could speak with the attorney to make sure that it was within the written ordinance of a pedal carriage.
Will that carry about 6 people?
Yes, it seats 6 people, yeah.
How much does it cost for a unit like that?
For a unit. The one that there's many different options that you can. The one that we want that has like all these extra like safety features on it and stuff like that's about $7,000.
By safety features, you mean seat belts and what else?
I can't. It's been a little while since I've looked at it. I can't remember if it comes with seat belts. I think I do remember seat belts is an added feature that you can have. It also has a lot of different gussets, metal gussets that are at all the corners just to reinforce the vehicle from braking because, as I'm currently a pedicab operator, the vehicles, the welds, they can break and stuff like that. So this company that makes these just has a lot of experience in making these vehicles, and they've just adapted to, all these safety features to make them kind of heavy duty.
I can't tell from the photograph. So you're telling me that 3 people can sit on each bench?
On each bench.
I also don't see any handles on the side to keep them inside. What would stop them from falling off if you made a sharp turn?
As of right now, I guess I don't technically have an answer to that other than, we do have the option of putting seat belts in the vehicle for all 6 of the people to wear.
The other option would be it's pretty slow moving, and the idea is to go tours. Sharp turns aren't really an option on that. You're gonna have to turn pretty wide, make a safe turn on something like that. And the other option would be to not put an unsafe amount of people. That if you have 6 people and it fits 6, it really gonna come down to a safety issue. If you have bigger people that are hanging off, that's obviously not an option.
When this was presented to staff, we did have extensive conversation with legal as well as with the applicants. It is a little bit different. It would probably require some additional modifications of some rules, just in terms of the features or requirements at the time of approval. For instance, if you were to decide that this was an appropriate vehicle on the street, at that point you could add additional. If you wanted seat belts, you could certainly require them to put seat belts, and if they don't put them or can't put them, then that might be an issue. But any safety issues, we think there would be subject to all the safety issues of the other pedicabs and pedal carriages anyway, so it would not be difficult to do that, again, if you chose to do that. This was a very different bike.
Yeah. Just a little different spin on things. We're not looking to, to cater to the bachelorette parties that come downtown. This is much more of a family-friendly, daytime operated, for the most part, way to, an interactive, eco-friendly way for people to be able to tour the city. As a pedicab driver, we get lots of people that want tours. And really, if you're giving somebody an hour or more tour, you can only take 2 people. We're technically allowed to take 3 people in those pedicabs, but 3 people can't sit in there super comfortably for an extended period of time. And we also get a lot of people that get in the pedicabs and they say, oh, I wish we could help. I wish we could pedal. And this is an interactive opportunity to be able to carry people in the tour and allow them to pedal, and to feel like they're helping. It's fun.
Are you guys from Nashville? And the only reason I ask that is that I've actually seen these in operation on the West Coast, simply because I travel there. Are you guys from the West Coast?
No, I'm not from the West Coast.
You've never actually operated these?
Oh, we have actually operated them, down in Florida, actually, yeah.
Is it all pedal power?
There is an assist option that we would like to be able to have, just only in, helping some of the people. Nashville is a hilly city. If we go somewhere that has a little bit of an incline and people need a little bit of an assistance, just to make it safe for the people that are riding it, we'd like to have that opportunity.
It's just assist. It couldn't.
It's just an assist. Yeah, it's not you have to pedal to propel the vehicle forward.
We're also looking to show a lot more than just Lower Broadway. There's a lot of history in the city, down Music Row, anything from the Parthenon and stuff like that. A lot of people don't get to see that stuff. They come here to tour the city and they get lost in 1st through 5th and they never see the full culture. And that's we want to be able to offer that.
I notice your Surrey Deluxe that's in the materials that were supplied to us does have passenger side handlebars in the front seat.
Okay.
Doesn't say anything about the back seat, but in the front
And
seat.
those options are something we're willing to work with,
Yeah, that's why we
obviously.
haven't ordered anything yet, because we wanted to make sure we have them on call waiting. All they need us to do is to call them and tell them which, what features, that we need, but we needed to wait and hear what we needed from the board before we could tell them.
My concern is, well, the one concern I would bring to you is that we went through a lot of consideration about the pedicabs, child restraint seats, how old a kid can be in there and things like that for
Right.
the safety of the public that might be traveling. I'm just looking through this thing and you're coming to us and we don't even know what you're necessarily presenting to us that you want to put on the road. I don't expect you to buy it, but I'd like to know more detail of what this unit would look like before I'd be willing to approve it for the public to be invited to go ride
Right.
all over the city.
Yeah, and I also think the picture that I think you might be looking at, it has 2 child seats in the front of the pedicab. Those will not
Says,
be there.
A dual handlebar
Yeah.
for child make, but this is just
That-
material I'm reading here from
Yes.
the advertiser who wants to sell you one of these things. I don't know what
Yes.
you're offering us,
Yeah.
so.
Well, the child seats are not going to be there. We're not going to have 2 children riding in the front of the bicycle. It's going to be just a storage basket is what that is, and that's an option that's able to be on there to take those child seats
So are
out.
you saying you would not have any children who could not be restrained in a seatbelt?
And there's the regular seat, and just the 6 passengers, not the 2 children sitting in the front, which would offer that to be an 8.
And to offer some insight on safety, the company that we're ordering these from, their #1 customer is Disney. So that is nothing but kids and
Well, but
adults.
Disney has a very, other than the alligators on the property, a fairly safe and confined area.
I'm giving you some
for
insight
travel.
as far as safety is
You're not traveling downtown where people are delivering Pepsi out of big trucks and things of that nature.
Yeah.
True.
And
maybe
vehicles
it's
are traveling.
something to the fact where there's an age limit on it, or simply a weight limit of not being able to take a child that is this age or younger or this weight or younger that they need to be able to. Just like a car, children can't sit in the passenger seat unless they're of 12 years, or in the front seat of a passenger side unless they're 12 years of age, for safety reasons. So, and that would be something that we'd be more than happy to do too.
It's hard for us to come up with fabrications that are custom to that and or whatever our operating policies are without understanding your concerns. So that's, it's something we're certainly willing to work with and abide by. We just don't know exactly what you're expecting safety-wise.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Jim Henn with Celebrity Pedal Tavern.
My name is Jim Hill. Thank you for getting the letter that I wrote to each one of you. I think you may have gotten it. I had an unfortunate thing, and I wasn't able to be here for the deadline of July 15th, I believe it was. Is that right, Mr. Fields, for the applications? So I was asking if I could get some extra time on this due to the fact that I had to go out of town. Death in my family, and I was gone for about 4 weeks, I guess. So this is for a pedal bar.
One?
Yes, as of right now, yes, one. I'd like to get more, but one, I'm not gonna add for 8 or 9. But I just have one as of right now.
Mr. Hill called the office, as had several other people, and asked the question, was there any extension to the deadline? As I advised him then, is that the commission had established the schedule and the deadline was the commission's deadline. And he said, can they change the deadline? And I said, well, they could. The commission has authority over this issue from the beginning to the end, and so can certainly consider any request that's placed to them. And so I thought it best to give him the opportunity to speak with you.
There have been others who've asked.
There were others that missed the deadline.
How many do we know?
2 or 3 more, probably.
Just 2 or 3?
Mhm.
Well, it says in Mr. Hill's letter they had a death in the family.
Mhm.
Do we need to make a motion regarding the extension for Mr. Hill?
Well, I guess there's a couple of things at this point. You still have the issue of do we need more? Now, if you're going to follow the same path and defer to a later meeting any action, you certainly have the authority to do what you will with respect to applications.
I don't think we're going to extend the deadline generally, just because we're deferring decision on
Oh, and I
the
understand
hearing.
that. It's 2 different, I think it's 2
Right.
different issues, yes, sir.
I do think it makes sense to determine if we're going to grant Mr. Hill a special extension due to the death in his family. That doesn't mean we can't. That just means his application will join the other 3 pedal carriage requests that we've received, I believe.
Could we, because of the extenuating circumstances and could we would have to open it for everyone.
Is that the?
Actually, that's what I was about to say, is I think that there were a couple of other people that inquired but didn't give a specific reason, so I would hate for us to make a decision as to one person when have other people out there that may have similar circumstances that we didn't address.
Okay.
I believe we would be violating due process for other folks if we make an exception for one and not for others without at least considering their circumstances.
And from staff standpoint, the challenge, and we'll do our dead level best to make sure we can identify who else had requested and try to contact them directly.
How do we do that, though? I mean,
Well,
if the deadline was July.
We do
and
keep
we're
record
here
of calls,
today.
or at least if
No,
I've
but,
spoken
I mean,
with them. But
what would be the motion for an extension for anybody, with it being now the end of August?
I'll look at my attorney, but I'm assuming what you would do is establish a window to accept additional applications for pedal vehicles beginning on today to a date certain, and then close it again on that day. I guess is that
Well, it's a rule and not in the Metropolitan Code.
correct?
So that gives you a little more leeway than if this were a code provision. I would say
So
you missed the deadline.
What date could we use if we were looking at it in the October meeting?
July 15th.
It seems like we're just inviting people to apply for additional permits that didn't apply the first time and didn't miss the deadline, but are just now reconsidering to meet a new deadline.
Mr. Hill, do you have any money invested in this yet?
Quite a bit.
I mean, what kind and what way?
About $68,000.
Have you bought a unit?
Yeah.
How much did that unit cost?
Sorry.
How much did that unit cost?
$68,000.
So you've got a pedal tavern sitting and waiting and hoping, huh?
Yes, sir.
It would seem to me that the prudent course of action would be to contact the other 2 or 3 companies that inquired about, hey, we need an additional week or whatever to submit, which we indicated that, well, the deadline is passed, and they did not come forth like Mr. Hill and ask and file formal requests to get additional time.
I can't guarantee that I'm able to contact them, but I keep a log of people that have called, and if they called and left a message, I should be able to identify in that time period through the notes on the call who they are. And I will follow the will of the commission.
Do you have
Can
anything?
we not?
If y'all, let's see, today is the 25th. If you gave them a 2-week window, that would take it to September the 9th. That would give 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It'd give them about 6 weeks. That's a little, so that would give us time to review what needed to be reviewed and do whatever background checks and so forth, I guess.
Can we not set up stipulation as to the extension and require proof?
I was actually going to mention that. You could say that you can submit upon providing documentation that you attempted to contact Mr. Fields, but that's again putting us in a very murky situation.
Can we just extend it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's the other option. The rule that you passed is that you would once a year accept applications for pedal vehicles. At that point, we then, not by rule, you established a date of a deadline, which was, I think, July the 12th.
Yes, 3:30, I think.
And so you would, if you want to revisit the rule issue that you want to do it more than once a year, that's a different issue. If you want to have if you want to reopen applications, I mean, frankly, and again, I'm going to look at my lawyer. I sometimes get in trouble. It strikes me that you'd be bound to accept applications from anyone that wanted to apply, I think.
I believe so.
This is the first year we had a rule.
This is the first year we've done this process because we're ending the first year. Basically, a year ago is when you approved them to go on the street.
Well, I think we have an efficient process in place, and we have deadlines for a reason, and it does help ensure efficiency in the running of our commission and whatnot. But I don't want to be so inflexible to not be able to consider special circumstances like we have here. Unfortunately, we're dealing with a situation, Mr. Hill, where we have due process concerns about others who may have had similar problems but did not, because they didn't believe they could, go through the steps that you've done today by formally asking for an extension. I still go back to trying to contact these individuals to let them know that if they would like to make a formal request for an extension, they can do so, and that request should include the type of proof that Mr. Hill has put forth about the reasons why they missed the deadline. And so not change the deadline, but just allow these few companies or individuals to apply for an extension.
Yeah, again, what I can do is work back through the phone logs and I mean, it's not like it's page after page after page of people calling me every day. And go back and, I can throw some of them out, certainly, because I know what they're going to be about specifically, and then begin, I'll dial for dollars and call all of them if we need to, whatever we need to do.
So, would we need to take action on each one of those then at that point? Or
Need to add an amendment to
seems
it.
easier just to open it till September 9th, and if people apply, they apply, and if they don't, they don't.
Then I guess they could do that, and I could still make, if that's what you choose to do, I could, again, do the due diligence and work through the calls. Whatever.
Push it out 2 more weeks. One more.
Push it out this.
Can we do that without making a precedent? Meaning, anybody, like you said, anyone could go forward, or do we need to add an amendment to the previous ruling, or?
Not if they just open the application.
I don't think so.
Would it have to be someone who has already called and you turn them down?
I think that's going to be the great challenge, is making that determination.
I think the prudent way to do it would be to open it up.
For the 2nd or the 9th?
Yes, and say anybody who has not applied can apply.
And it could be a narrow window. I mean, nothing says you couldn't do it on the 2nd, and just say,
Or give it a week, or give
Yeah.
it, you know.
that would be all of
Second's
next
about a
week.
Yeah. So,
And I can work through the phones pretty quick, if that's what you want to do.
I'll make a motion that we reopen the applications for pedal carriage request with a deadline of 3:30 Friday, September 2nd.
Could ask for noon.
Noon? Yeah, okay.
It's a long story, trust me.
I'll amend that. Noon, Central Standard Time, Friday, September 2nd, 2016.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
And that's for all the pedals? Because I think there were some pedicabs.
I said just the pedal carriage.
Oh, okay, that's fine. All right. That narrows it down, thank you.
So am I correct in saying this has to be in by Friday, September 2nd?
I'd try for Monday, but
For right now.
Barring any other unforeseen
Yes, sir.
deaths or something. So sorry about the loss of your sister.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. We also, well, I believe that concludes the request to speak on this issue. Is there anyone else from the audience that would like to speak? Yes. Ma'am, you've already spoken, so I'm going to ask for this gentleman to have a chance to speak.
Hi guys.
Hello.
Angie Gleason with Nashville Pedal Tavern.
Brian Gleason, Nashville Pedal Tavern. I just wanted to make a few notes. First thing I want to say is I'm all for entrepreneurship. That's what I am. I'm all for capitalism, growth, all those things, as long as they're good for the community also. We basically started this industry when we came to town in 2009, when we started this. There was no other bikes at that time. There was no other manufacturers, nobody else doing that. Most recently, in the last few years, you start seeing them pop up. A lot of people just started making them themselves and stuff like that. My biggest thing that I wanted to point out is that there's a difference between demand and necessity, especially in our industry. I feel that our industry is completely different from low-speed vehicles and pedicabs. They're providing a service that is a need that's on the streets, while we are providing an attraction. I think they're completely different. We need to look at them differently. I have no issue with people wanting to grow their business based off demand in this, especially in the way Nashville is booming right now. My concern is the companies already that are existing, especially ours. We have the most amount of bikes. We already are restricting our bikes downtown. We have 10 bikes. We sell out by far the most in advance out of anybody. And we only send 5 to 6 of our bikes downtown because our drivers come back to us and the feedback is we cannot conduct our business or our tour the way it is meant to be because of the congestion and issues downtown. My issue also is within regulation. I feel that there's so many things within regulation that we are not abiding by. And it is forcing the companies that are already here to have to break laws or break regulation in order to operate. I can't even tell you how many times our bikes are parked in taxi zones or in illegal parking because they have to in order to operate. And there's a big issue there. So I guess from my point of view, I don't want to hold back people wanting to expand, but the downtown area is a circus. It is beyond a circus. And if we are the only company that is already self-regulating ourselves, then what is keeping us from just saying, we're gonna throw all 10 of our bikes downtown and force someone's hand on this? It's because it's not good for our tourism, it's not good for our company, it's not good for our brand, it's not good for our city. That being said, there are four companies right now that are operating, and we all try to work together the best that we can. And if Country Music Crawler wants to get a couple more bikes because they have demand, so be it. I have no problem with that. But allowing outside companies that know nothing about our industry, nothing about the needs of our city, and how big of a struggle it's been the past 2 years to be able to operate with the growth and congestion, it is going to throw a major curveball in everything we're trying to do. You're going to get people that have no idea what we've spent the last couple of years, especially this last year, trying to make sure that our company can still, our industry can still operate without being a total nuisance to the city. And I guess I'm at the point coming to you that I'm just hoping that you look at that as our industry as being an attraction and not a necessity. And, you know, I mean, these are requests for necessity and convenience, and I think we're way past that point with the pedal carriage industry. So I just wanted to have make note of that. And
I do want to say something on top of that as well is, like you said, we're all for growth and current companies expanding because they're getting the calls, and absolutely we get that all the time as well. A lot of outsiders might see, yes, there's all these people walking around Nashville, everybody wants to get on a party bike, and if that was the case, you'd have them lined up all up and down the street like cabs. And a lot of people are also under the impression that you can just jump on these, get free beer, and ride around a couple blocks. And that's not obviously what this industry was built for. That's against, that's against law, it's against regulation. And so there is, with adding a couple more bikes, they are going to be able to fill, some last minute calls and whatnot. But if this is going to go through and anybody else gets additional bikes or whatnot, we just really hope that you focus on making sure that the downtown core is capped with how many bikes can be in that area. Because people can say they're not going to go down there or they're going to do this and that, but we've seen it happen where all they do is everybody's in that 5-block radius, there's no parking for anybody, and like he said, we're forced to go into taxi cabs and everything, and just because people want to walk up on the street and think that they can jump on a bike, that's not how the tourism with this works.
And also, I know it's needless to say, but you guys have a half dozen other random things running around downtown fully unregulated. And yet we're trying to shove more stuff down there when we haven't even taken care of the things that are not even legal or regulated, and I have no idea how they're even operating, because under our standards, they don't even come close to what we're held to. And the fact that we're not really held to our standards either, because there's so many different violations going on left and right. It's getting frustrating to me as a manager to be on my drivers so hard about following the rules and doing these things when the influx of new businesses and new vehicles is pushing us away from, if we want to operate, we are basically pushed outside of regulation in order to operate. And I see that as an issue, so I just hope that you guys can see that also when you guys take these new certificates into consideration.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who has not had a chance to speak? Ma'am, would you like to come back up?
Basically took the words out of my mouth. Somewhere, and I don't know where or when exactly, it was sometime last year when I came on board. I don't know if it was a conversation with me, Mr. Fields, whatever, but I know for a fact that someone said to me, "You're lucky you came on board when you did. You're grandfathered in. There's going to be no more taverns allowed in this city. We've got 4 companies, and that's all we're going to have." I heard that somewhere. It's in my notes. I don't know where I got that from.
It wasn't from this commission.
Okay, that they was not going to allow any more taverns in the city. That's y'all's discretion and stuff. But I absolutely agree with him. If y'all haven't been downtown on Friday night, it's an absolute zoo down there. I mean, a zoo. Saturday night too. But I absolutely agree with him. And no offense to the Nashville bar bike or celebrity pedal. I just don't think I would have spent money before I had a permit, basically. But there's absolutely no room for anybody else. I'm just being honest. We're just like them. I mean, trying to fight for a spot to stop, fight for a stop to load and unload. And when you've got numerous vehicles down there that are unregulated, no license, no permits, and I know that doesn't fall under you guys, and the city's not doing anything about it, it's not helping. But to put another pedal tavern company down there, I think is a mistake.
But you want 2 additional vehicles?
Yes, I'm just saying, yes, sir, to meet my demand. But we're looking at adding 5 more, and you're allowing now for additional requests to come in. So now we're gonna have 6 to 7 companies if you approve them all. And now we're looking at probably 30-something bikes.
Which is why we want to change our request right now from 2 to 4, just in case you do extend this deadline and you do allow other companies. I'm being serious. We would like to extend ours from 2 to 4, because like we said from the very beginning, we have the demand for 4. But we're only requesting 2 to be fair.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we'll close the public hearing regarding the pedal cab requests and pedal carriage requests for additional permits or new permits, or excuse me, certificates. Would anyone like to make a motion regarding the certificate of necessity issue? Or I know we deferred for the low-speed vehicles earlier.
Based on the same information, I think we, well, I move deferral of consideration until the October meeting based on the expected delivery of the transportation study.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Mr. Fields, when we have the meeting in October, that's just to answer the question. There's not going to be another public hearing, is there?
I don't think you'll be required for another public hearing. You've gathered your information on whether they have proven need or not. You're withholding judgment on that and deferring that vote until the October meeting. The traffic study at that point, any police information that you may choose to ask for, anything that you'd like to have between now and that October meeting, we will gather it and present it that particular day. Then the first question is yes or no on both the issues. Have they proven the need? If yes, then you go to the next step. If no, then that's the end of it.
Next item on our agenda is a request to recommend ordinance change to allow the use of alternative horseshoes and equipment. And this is up for public hearing. We've got a request to speak from Edward Holland.
Highland, yes.
Highland, excuse me. Apologize.
I've been here before.
It was hard to read the handwriting.
I've been told that since the 4th grade. Just so you know. Where are you? There you are. Members of the commission, I'm Ed Highland. I'm an attorney here in Nashville. I would like to direct your attention, if I could, back to May 26. You all will remember, you had a large discussion with regard to horseshoes. Rubber horseshoes versus metal horseshoes. Well, we've got one more for you. This is no horseshoes. Now, that would solve the problem that you were dealing with the last time. I would like to propose, my client would like to propose, this is Melody Robinson, who's American Melody Carriages. I'd like to propose an amendment to 1254-240 to allow, with the monitoring by the owner veterinarian farrier, that you can have no horseshoes. We have given you information that is fairly persuasive, I would contend, that it's the healthiest thing for a horse. And I would propose that the Indians, Native Americans, knew that a long time ago. The healthiest thing for a horse is to not be shod.
On blacktop?
Pardon?
On blacktop and concrete?
Yes. How about that? You had to convince me too. And I am convinced that we have,
Is it
and in
the
this
safest?
particular, pardon?
It might be healthy for the horse, but is it safe?
Yes. Yes, and you have, if you will, have a letter. We have several letters here and several articles. Let's go first of all to Houston. That's Texas. They know a little bit about horses down there. I assume we know more about it here in Tennessee, though, honestly. That's where they got some of their horses. The Houston police use no shoes and on their horses. Now, you will also remember that in the hearing on May 26, it was asked, what do the Metro Police do? They use either no shoes or boots. They aren't shod, is my understanding anyway. Mr. Fields might be able to. Pardon?
That's accurate.
Thank you very much. So when you look at me and say, no shoes, look at the police department and say, no shoes. It's not, it's to me, at the very beginning, when I first became acquainted with this situation, if you had said that to me, I would have said the same thing, which my client will tell you that that's exactly what I said to her. But you, in the last hearing, you folks finally wound up and said that you would leave it up to the discretion of each owner. That's exactly in order to determine how the statute should be applied or the ordinance should be applied. In this particular case, we're only asking that shod be added on to shod, or as we have presented, that it would include that well-regulated barefoot. That's what they call it, it's barefoot. So it's not like this is something new. It's not like this is something outlandish. This is something that is regular now. It is going that way. We have I would like to direct your attention to an article by Mr. Ramey, it's also included in this situation, and I know you're going to have to, we've got a letter from Mr. Apple, who will talk to anybody if they'd like to. We've got a telephone number, we can put it on speaker. And Mr. Ramey also, they're all farriers. It's not like they're just coming in, gee, I like horses. And I think this is the best thing to do. We want to be all natural and all that. That's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to do what's best for the horses. And in this particular case, that is. The situation is that horses, when they have shoes on them, no matter what kind, whether steel or whether rubber shoes, like we talked about last time, their hooves are constrained. The horse has a natural gait with the foot going down like this. The shoe does not allow it to do that because it's rigid. And when that happens, it causes damage to the legs of the horse, especially if the horse is worked quite a bit. In this particular case, my client has 12 hours she can work in a week. She's been driving one of these carriages for 16 years. And she has 2 days a week she can work. She's got 5 horses. Obviously, she can't work all 5 in 2 days. And she is concerned about the fact that their hooves, if they have to be shod, just so she can work them one after the other, that's going to damage them because at other times they're going to be off. They're not going to be working, and it's just something that's not necessary. In fact, it is against what I think nature and what most of the folks that have anything to say about it say. And it's here. It's not made up.
Why did you propose the condition that for horses who are worked only 20 hours or less each week in your proposed amendment?
Because we understood, well, first of all, obviously that's kind of personal for her because she only has 12 hours a week.
Aren't you saying in general it's better for the horses not to be shod at all?
No, yes, I am.
Okay.
But if, in fact, somebody argues that, well, if they're working a lot, they ought to 40 hours or more, they ought to be shod. Because that argument has come up in some of the literature I've seen. It's not supported, but that's why it was put in there, just to cover the field in case somebody had that problem. But we do. We breed
Mr.
horses.
Highland, who's Pete and Ivy Ramey?
If you will look, I think there's a bio of Mr. Ramey.
Mr. Ramey is considered one of those, he's very well-known person in the field as a farrier.
It looked like, Ms. Robinson, you were having email discussions with Diana Neal with the office of Pete and Ivy Ramey.
She actually was kind of a go-between because, you know, he's apparently very big time. I just found out about him, so I don't have his personal email, so she was kind of a go-between. But there is an actual email that she forwarded to me from Pete Ramey in response to what I initially sent.
The portion that Mr. Ramey did is called Barefoot for Soundness. That's in your packet. Excuse me.
Can you refresh my memory about the veterinarian or the farrier that showed up at the hearing the last time, why he said it was necessary to have why he thought metal shoes were better for horses?
I'm not sure why he said that. I know who brought him, and I know...
Well, I know who brought him, but he got up and he gave his statement to us. And
then we had other folks from...
Right, I'm just wondering if you can remember. Do you remember?
She'll remember.
I honestly don't.
Okay.
She won't remember. I'm sorry.
Most of the issues I recall, and I don't have the best memory, but it was more of safety than anything else. There was issues of traction on the streets and that sort of thing.
When it was wet.
When it was wet, and of course, they also recognized that steel shoes slip too. Wet streets are...
You were the one who was for rubber shoes.
Yes.
You stood up
Something
here.
besides metal,
Well,
yes.
Something besides metal. Anything's better than metal.
But in
I'm
beginning,
sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say, one of the issues, and they were very accurate, when you're shoeing a horse, you're going to pull the shoe up, you pull the hoof up, so the hoof is off the ground, so there's no pressure on it. So when you put the shoe on, there's a natural constriction because it's steel with nails. When that foot goes down, the pressure goes back, and the foot cannot expand. You have to look at a foot very much like a fingernail. That's basically what a horse is going to be. That hoof is going to be the nail, and then around it. And the goal is to protect. Is to keep it shod and keep the foot hitting exactly the same. The reason in the wild horses are able to run, they're naturally able to trim the hoofs by just through the natural turf. So the goal in this, and I'm no expert on, but I've studied a little. It would basically deal with a natural. It would allow the horse to be in a natural state.
Didn't we hear something also about 5 hearts that each foot had a heart in there and it blood circulated when they didn't have...
If you trim...
It's a pump.
Yeah, pump. Yeah.
That's mentioned in one of these articles here, but I don't remember having...
It pumps the blood throughout.
Giving more blood through the leg.
So right now, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
We're all doing that. That's okay. But this is an interesting... I appreciate this. I appreciate y'all's interest in this. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
With the metal shoe, it's not allowed to actually, the whole foot is not allowed to touch the ground, or as Billy just explained, it's not allowed to do the natural expansion that it would if it was just coming down naturally with no shoe.
And the key to it when the farrier is working is to obviously keep it trimmed well and keep the frog protected. The frog is that the little piece of tissue that's up under, to try to keep that clean and protected.
Now, I see the ordinance allows for the use of boots. Is that considered
barefooting?
Barefooting?
No, it's not. We have part of ours has to do with using, if we didn't have, depending on what the commission would decide, having some type of hoof, some kind of shoe on the front and boots on the back if you're worried about traction. But we're still of the opinion, and it's pretty well backed up, that no shoes is the best thing, and that's why my client would like to be able to treat her horses the best way she can.
And a lot of those, the material that we presented, there are several different sources that said that it actually added to the horse's traction.
Yeah. The easy boot that we're referring to in the ordinance, when we wrote the ordinance in 2001, the goal was basically when the horse was out on the street, if the shoe came off, they would be able to use a boot to finish the night. It was not, in other words, so that's the reason boot was be in there. And, the only thing I would add, I'd add some additional language that would allow synthetic shoes, as we talked about if someone want to use synthetic shoes, because it's not clear that would be allowed under the current ordinance either.
Well, it says, I'm not sure it does, but it could be that wouldn't be allowed. Synthetic shoe wouldn't be allowed either.
If I'm reading the email correctly from Mr. Ramey, it does say that he suggested you use boots.
Yes, sir.
First.
If you read the very first message I sent him,
Mhm.
and then my response to him after he sent his message,
Okay.
I actually have been using the boots,
Okay.
and so he didn't have that information
All right.
when he initially.
It was in
I wanna
order.
clarify that.
What it
Yeah.
was to wants to be sure that you go to barefoot, that you have that, I'm sorry, I know what you're talking about now, that you have that step in
You
between.
can't just pull the shoes and then go out barefoot. They have to.
Because the hooves have been damaged when they have the shoes, or they've been,
But my horses have been barefoot this whole time, and I have been using the boots when I go downtown.
When, again, and you may not want to know the detail, when they're shoeing a horse, they're driving a nail from the bottom through the side, coming out, they're then cut. Some people bend them, our folks, most of them are cutting them, and then they're filed down to be even. So every time the shoes come off, additional nails are driven in to reshoe the horse. So it's a continuing process of nails going in and nails coming out. And I'm not defending or speaking, but I do understand this. I think I understand the argument. Well, I'm a certified horseshoe inspector. I've got to go back to finish it, but I do know a little about horseshoes.
Metro Police, how many hours a week do they?
I can't answer that.
And do
But I'm assuming it's multiple hours a week.
But they're shoeless.
They are shoeless.
Right.
They're in the pasture shoeless, and then I think they're wearing boots on the street, I think.
for your information to answer that question, there are 40 horses in working Houston, and they work 8 to 10 hours every day barefoot on asphalt. And all I had to do was read the big letters down here. I didn't have to put my glasses on even, I'm glad. But she pointed that out to me, and I knew, so that's 50, 60 hours a week, maybe.
So what would you do if you were given a permit to have your horses run more than 12 hours, but 25 hours? Would you then shoe them?
I would have to decide that when the time came. I would prefer not to.
Or alternate them, or just
Yeah,
use them
yeah.
for a set number of time, then bring a different horse in?
Yeah.
'Cause a horse-
I have 5, so I can work 2 one week and 2 the next week and 2 the next week and 2 the next week.
And we've been trying to get extra time, and that's a good question. Of course, that's something we're looking forward to down the line, but it hasn't happened yet, so.
And on the one from Pete and Ivy Ramey actually has a carriage horse that works 25 hours a week barefoot on the asphalt.
But you don't know of any horse policy for the 20-hour limit in there other than
No, it was just like he said.
because of your situation.
Right.
So this was just carving
it could
something
be-
out for you, but if we took the 20 hours out of there, it wouldn't matter
Wouldn't matter a bit.
for the care of the horse. Okay.
So we're saying if the other carriage owners wanted to go barefoot, even though they're riding 25 or 30 hours, it wouldn't hurt the horse, that we should really...
There's a rehabilitation period if you have, like, they've had shoes on their horses for all these years. If they can't just pull the shoe and then go out and work barefoot, because the foot would have to be rehabilitated, go back to its original shape, and then it would have to be toughened up and rebuilt, basically, like calloused. So it would have to have a rehabilitation period, which I've read is basically 6 months to a year.
Shucks, I knew the answer to that, and she told, that was one thing I knew the answer to. Anyway, but that wouldn't keep them from using horses that were already shod. It wouldn't harm any of the other drivers. If they wanted to go to not have shoes, they could do that depending on how many horses they had, and I think our other companies have multiple horses that they can use anyway. They could do it that way and rotate them in and out, so it really wouldn't harm them. Some of them might want to use rubber, some of them might want to use metal.
So basically, you wouldn't have to put the 20-hour limit in there if you didn't want to, if you were concerned that that would eliminate the other companies from having that ability, but I doubt they're gonna unshoe their horses and let them off for a year.
They might bring new horses.
That's true.
Well, thank you very much.
We could probably sell them one or two, I don't know. Thank you very much, I appreciate it. And I have learned more about horses in the last 4 weeks than I ever thought I'd want to. And it's really interesting. Thank you very much.
So have
appreciate it. And pedal bars coming by your house.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak on the issue regarding a recommended ordinance change to allow the use of alternative horseshoes and equipment? At this point, we'll close the public hearing for this particular ordinance request change. Open it up for deliberation.
I like the idea of removing the 20 hours to keep things simple on the ordinance. And also include what Mr. Fields recommended, that was the synthetic in there as well. As long as we're doing it for, if we end up voting to change, to amend the ordinance.
Would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion. I would move to amend section B1 of 12.54.240, called the requirement for horses in service, as follows. That the horses be appropriately shod and trimmed, comma, and shall utilize rubber-coated pad or boots or open steel barium tips, shoes, comma, or other shoes approved by veterinarian, comma, or synthetic, or trimmed barefoot horse, comma, closely monitored by the owner, comma, veterinarian, comma, and farrier, comma, or a trimmed horse wearing shoes as defined above on the front hooves only, period.
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Motion passed.
Yeah.
We move on now to other passenger vehicles for hire. We've got company applications, 3 here. First is El Botros Limo.
All of the companies that are in front of you have met the requirements and have the appropriate, have filed the appropriate application, the appropriate paperwork.
So that would include also Street Tread Limo and Total Transfer LLC.
You certainly could. Let me look at one thing. One. Do you have Mr. In the application process, the only issue that came up in 2004, during the application, Mr. Smith filed his application to be a driver. He failed to include a 2004 charge of larceny. But the company application was in order, but so this is a 2-part, the driver application along with the company.
That's Dion Smith, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Dion.
Otherwise, the applications are all in order.
Correct.
I make a motion to approve en banc.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Next, we have other passenger vehicles for hire driver applications. First is Jimmy Michelle Anderson.
Ms. Anderson? She was not at the last meeting either.
Make a motion to deny.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Next application is Eddie Lewis Lytle. Mr. Fields?
Mr. Lytle? Mr. Lattimore made his application, failed to disclose a 1993 aggravated assault, as well as a 1977 passing a worthless check. I'm not sure he's present.
Make a motion to defer to the next meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Next application is John Patrick McCoy.
He's present.
Mr. Fields.
In Mr. McCoy's application, he failed to disclose a 1985 theft charge.
Other than that, it's good.
There were no other issues that would preclude him from being a driver.
Felony or misdemeanor theft?
It was receiving stolen property. Stupid decision, a long time ago.
What was the property?
Box full of extension cords out of what was supposedly an abandoned vehicle, abandoned truck at a public parking area.
Did you get probation?
Let the lawyer handle it, yes. With no
Okay.
time served, paid the fines, court costs, everything involved in it. And so some time ago, it's been 3 kids growing up, and a lot of other things in between, and
Saw it right here. Thank you.
passed plenty of other background checks prior to that, so.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you, folks.
You're welcome.
Next item on our agenda, we've got a low-speed vehicle driver application for Matthew Vaden Grow.
See you.
Mr. Fields.
Yes, Mr. Grow, in his application, he listed a lot more than was actually came back in the application. And there's nothing in his application that would keep him from being a driver. However, his truthfulness, it was just a lot. And I wanted to make sure that y'all were aware. Again, there's nothing that would preclude him other than I wanted him to visit with you so he could explain the importance of following the rules.
When's your last one?
Oh, it was 2011, sir. I was convicted of a DUI.
Mm-hmm.
And since then, I had taken a 30-day rehabilitation, and I even go to AA on occasion now, but that was my last.
Are you sober now?
Yes, ma'am.
For how long?
I mean, I still have a drink on occasion, but as
you're
far
not
as...
sober.
I mean, I had lunch on Saturday with my wife, and I had a glass of wine.
Okay.
But you've had a DUI in Rockingham County, is that Virginia, in 2009?
Yes, sir.
And then another one in Rockingham County, October 2010, right?
Yes, sir.
And then another one in 2011.
Oh, no, I had the court in 2011.
Yeah.
And it was the second one, 2010, but then the court hearing was on 2011.
And then drunk in public on 2013. And then that prostitute on 2014.
That was drunk, ma'am.
Oh.
So what's going on? And you keep bumping into law
Well,
over and over.
Well, I'm happy to say I am a full-time state employee. I'm working with the Department of Labor now, and I am married, and I'm in a good place.
When did you get married?
It was September 20th last year.
Last year.
I mean, the number of arrests and convictions on here concern me, but also they concern me because they all center around operating a vehicle. And you're asking us to approve an application to operate a low-speed vehicle, Mr. Grow.
Well, it was the 2 DUIs, and that's been over 5 years ago. And I do understand your concern, and that's why I'm here today. I mean, I'm in a good place. I even on occasion still try to go to AA. I'm not I guess you would call myself a binge drinker. I don't go out and drink every day. But if I do feel those needs, I go to AA. And I'm in a good place. I'm married, and my co-workers, my managers there at the Department of Labor will vouch for my character. And
What about this public swerving / intoxication in Harrisburg, Virginia? Was that in the vehicle?
well, it was 2 DUIs. I'm not sure exactly
This was Harrisburg, Virginia, August 16, 2007. Says guilty. I think it says public
Swear.
public
Oh, that
swearing
was-
intoxication. Okay.
Yeah, yes, sir. That was while I was in college. It's been a few years back, of course, but
Why do you want to drive a slow-speed vehicle if you got another job already?
well, as with an introductory state position that doesn't pay that well, and I'm still trying to save money to take my wife on a honeymoon.
Do you have a job with a company now?
Oh, well, it was the state of Tennessee with the Department of Labor.
No, I mean for the vehicle.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
With whom?
Joyride.
What's unbelievable is you had to start adding lines and numbers for your convictions past 10. So, do appreciate your candor and your honesty, but
Yes, sir. I was just trying to be honest with everything.
it's staggering. And they're all, I think they're all misdemeanors.
Correct. There are all misdemeanors.
How did the state hire you?
Well,
With a background check.
Once I am employed, I'm a good employee. Once they see past this.
Okay.
How long have you worked for the state of Tennessee?
November 2nd, going on a year.
What do you do?
Unemployment claims agent.
Did you move here from Virginia?
Yes, sir. Previously I've been in the military, so I was at Fort Campbell for a while, and just knew I liked the area.
Mr. Fields, none of these per se by themselves disqualify him?
No. Everything's outside the time limits. The DUIs would only be we only look back a 3-year period unless there was an accident involved, and then it would be a 5-year period.
And the public intoxication and things of that?
All
don't count.
misdemeanors.
Oh, yeah. DUIs and misdemeanors too?
I think so. Mhm.
Do you want to go away?
The solicitation and prostitution in 2014, you said you took class?
Oh, it was well, the whole thing was a misunderstanding, but if I had agreed to take a class, mandatory class, well, it wasn't mandatory, but they offered that, and it would be dropped from my record.
It's called John
Pick that up.
Yeah.
John
It's
School?
the John School, wasn't it?
Yes, sir, it was.
Did you learn anything?
Yes, sir.
Did you meet some ladies who used to be prostitutes and they talk about the experience and everything?
Yes, sir.
And about sexually transmitted diseases?
Yes, sir.
And that you're part of the problem? When you're out there with this misunderstanding, it creates the problem?
Yes, sir. Correct.
And the drunk in public concerns me as well. That's from 2013. What were the circumstances around that?
I was just downtown without a ride, and I'm just sitting down and waiting on who was I calling? It was actually my friend, and police came by and just saw me sitting there.
You know, one of the primary reasons why this commission was formed is to help ensure the public safety around the transportation business here in Nashville, and it is regulated, and that a lot of those regulations and the enforcement falls on Mr. Fields' office and his inspectors and the volunteer commissioners here when we're just looking at the applications. You know, your application, I do appreciate the candor of it, but it concerns me. Your drinking issues concern me, and it sounds like that they still happen, maybe not frequently, but they still occur as recently as 2013.
Those were dropped. I don't know if that would apply.
You were drunk, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. It was dismissed when you went to court, like they do many of them.
Yes, sir. But the fact of the matter was you were still drunk in public, to the point where the officer had to take you into custody.
Yes, sir.
And he probably wrote on the warrant that he had to take you into custody for your own safety, right?
That I'm not sure of.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, that's all right. I don't get to vote on these issues, but, you know, if I could, I would vote to deny your application.
What you see in front of you, I completely understand, and that's why I wanted to be here today, to just let you all know that what you see is not reflective of who I am as a person. I am married. I work 8 to 4:30. I work with the state, and this has all transpired within the past year. I got married September 20th last year. I got the new job November 2nd last year, and I'm just asking for a chance.
I definitely appreciate that. I understand why you're applying and the opportunities you want to present for you and your family. I truly do. And I'm not saying that if your application was denied that you wouldn't be able to come back before the commission, you know, at some point in the future. And after more time has passed and you've shown that things have turned around, but I wouldn't feel comfortable granting your application with this recent history.
Yes, sir. The last incident was 2013, I believe.
That's right.
So exactly how much time should elapse before I could be considered again?
What about the solicitation and prostitution charge in 2014?
That was a misunderstanding, sir.
But didn't you say you were drunk at the time?
Oh, no, not for that.
You
No, sir.
weren't?
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
What is considered an appropriate amount of time?
Mr. Fields,
I'm sorry.
what is considered an appropriate amount of time after the
Well,
last incident?
I'm not sure there is an appropriate amount of time that I could suggest. Again, the ordinance, for instance, on a DUI is 3 years, unless there's an accident, and then it can go to 5 years. And if it's an accident, somebody's injured, then again, it can go to 5 years. But as far as misdemeanors, the ordinance for the most part is silent on misdemeanors, with, I think, the exception of maybe some assaults, but I think it's even silent there.
It looks like to me, about every year you've been getting, in the past, every year you were getting popped or arrested for an intoxication or a misunderstanding or an assault and battery or some other violation. Is that fair?
Well,
I mean, you got 18 different arrests. How old are you?
I'm 35. I just turned 35.
I'm just going through here looking at 2009, 2010, 2011. We know about 2013, a misunderstanding in 2014.
Well, I'm not going to deny, sir, I have made bad decisions in the past, and I agree with you.
I'm just trying to find something that might give us assurance that you really have turned around. You say you got the new job and got married September and November of last year.
Yes, sir.
So you're coming up on a year almost.
Yes,
No
sir.
arrest, right?
Correct.
About 6 months. I'm throwing it out there.
Yeah.
So is the idea to defer action on the application until
6 months from
6
today.
months from today? Be the February meeting?
And they usually pick up their business in March, because the business is slowing down about the time you're wanting to get into it.
Yes, sir.
Can I make a motion?
Yes.
I would make a motion that we defer the application till the February meeting of 2016. Sort of the carrot in front of you to prove to us you can do it.
2017.
I'm sorry, 2017.
Yes, sir.
I want to put a carrot out there, and then you come back here, and I think we might be in agreement on approving it then.
I second.
All those in favor? Motion passes.
Thank you all.
Congratulations. Next, we have,
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I
Yes.
apologize. One information, I missed it. You had deferred Mr. Lytle because he was not present. He actually was not present last month either.
I move to deny.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Next, we have Wrecker and Towing Services company application for JD's Towing of Nashville LLC and a driver request with Jonathan Lynn DeWolf.
Is that JD?
My name is John Wolf. I'm the owner of Wolf's Towing. JD's in action.
Mr. Fields?
Mr. DeWolf is here. We'd had a complaint filed with the commission on his company prior to his application. And I talked with him. I mean, I'm glad he's here to become compliant. I did want to make the commission aware of it. I'm not proposing that he not go into business. The only issue I would have is I would ask for a probationary period if he goes into business to make sure we can, that we have some authority. I do not have any authority over this particular complaint because he's not under licensure by the commission. So this particular issue, and it was a strange issue, I'll be the first to say that, where a driver picked up a car at owner request so they came and picked it up. It was an insurance company. The driver then apparently made a side deal with the owner of the vehicle saying, I think I can fix it. Took the vehicle to an O'Reilly's.
No, him and the owner agreed that he would fix it at a cheaper rate. She wanted to save
Correct.
money and she was on a trip. So he towed the car to his house, his personal house.
I didn't know that.
And did the job for the member. And then she was coming back up from Florida going home, I think to Michigan or somewhere. And he had to go back to work on call for our company. And so in turn, he had to put finish a radiator job on the car. He towed it to O'Reilly's where he usually buys his parts and left it in the parking lot. He says to me that he got authorization from a manager. I haven't verified that, I don't know. But when he dropped the car and he left to go do calls for us, he came back to finish the car and it was impounded by a company because the manager didn't want a partially repaired car on their lot, which I don't blame him. But our company does not offer any kind of mechanical services, so we just do strictly insurance work. We just move the car from A to B.
And this was all done without your knowledge?
Yes, and the employee has been terminated for it.
Everything else in order, Mr. Fields?
I think that's it. I do want to ask about the vehicles. So the vehicles, it runs under, you'd want on the side.
JD's Towing, we have them restickered and they'll be put on, and I have to go back to get re-inspection.
So
on
the
Wednesday.
Wolf decal,
It's going to be completely.
it's going to be removed, so it's going to be just JD's Towing?
Of Nashville, yes.
Of Nashville, okay. I mean, I appreciate him coming in for compliance. I wish he had waited a day or two, but I mean, our goal is not to punish. Our goal is to get people compliant. That's what we try every day. But
Yeah, I've sent all my drivers down to get their applications filled out and ready to go. I was just waiting on the hearing committee to tell them to go ahead and turn everything in.
I just, again, I would ask that we have some additional time to make sure that everybody's working on the same rules.
I understand.
What period is probation?
Well, I mean, the least I think is 6 months. A year would not hurt my feelings, and I don't think it would hurt his, because if he's operating within the rules, it doesn't really matter. The only way that the probation would come into effect if he absolutely violated the rules, and that would only be something that y'all could decide.
That I'm
So-
aware of, this is our first complaint, the first incident, and it's not a representation of our company, what the employee did.
It never is. But
Yeah, I understand
They
it.
work for you, they work for
And business
you.
people, you can't control what they do, that's for sure.
Anyone like to make a motion?
Make a motion for approval with the condition of 6 months probation.
Second.
Does that also, that obviously includes the driver request for Jonathan Lynn DeWolf as well?
Correct. Thanks.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thanks.
We also have driver record applications for James Michael House and Scott Allen Rainey.
Mr. House, I believe, is present, as well as representative, well, the owner of Smith's is here as well. In making his application, Mr. House failed to list the 2009 and the 2011 both possession charge, possession exchange.
Possession of what?
A drug charge, possession. possession or casual exchange of a controlled substance is technical.
So was it possession, or were you casually exchanging it with somebody?
Possession.
What was the drug?
Marijuana.
Both times?
Yes, sir.
2009, 2011?
Yes, sir.
What was the drug in, what was the simple possession June of 2014 that you listed?
Marijuana.
And what about November 2015?
Marijuana. But I can, okay, so basically I've just been, I guess, kind of in the wrong group of friends, I should say, hanging around the wrong crowd. In 2015, we were at somebody's house and the police just kind of ran in and charged everybody. It was like 13 people on my docket. So that's what's going on with that. The couple of other simple possessions really has just been the police pulling me over, hanging with the wrong crowd, finding drugs under the seat, crumbs or whatever. Like, I've never been to jail, you know, just...
People rarely go to jail on simple possession of marijuana.
Yeah.
They might on the 4th or 5th time, but pretty rare. They go on probation for 11 months, 29 days.
I had that one time.
So you barely got off probation from June of 2014 to June of 2015 before you picked up another charge in November 2015.
Yeah, but I just told you that the charge in 2015, it wasn't like I was just out caught. I just happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time.
Why'd they charge you?
They charged everybody.
Did you plead guilty?
I think I went to the class. It should be dismissed. Like, a lot of those charges, I should only have 2 charges on my record. I went and had most things expunged. A lot of them were dismissed.
Man, that's just
I think it's only like 7 in all, 8 in all.
So if I look up your record with the Metropolitan Police Department or Metropolitan Clerk's Office, there's only going to be 1 or 2 charges on there?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
They want 900 to get both of those
Now,
expunged.
when you went to the class, the assistant district attorney gave you a choice between pleading not guilty and having a trial, or doing a conditional guilty plea and going to the class and then coming back to court and the case would be dismissed, right? Isn't that what happened?
Yes, sir. So
okay, so you did plead guilty, conditionally.
Okay, so maybe I
And you went to the class and came back to court, or had your lawyer come back to court with the certificate showing you completed the class, right?
Right.
And that was the condition for the case to be dismissed.
Dismissed, yes, sir.
How many times did you get to do that?
I probably took maybe 3 classes over the history, my criminal history.
Well, there's 4 charges that I see that would qualify for classes.
For class? I know
2009?
I've had probation once, and I've had like 2 or 3 classes.
All right. So 2009, 2011, 2014, 2015, you got charged with possession of marijuana. 2 or 3 of them you got deferred to the class in exchange for getting it dismissed.
Yes, I did probation for 1.
And 1 you got probation. Okay.
Sir. Never been to jail, no violent charges, no drunk charges. Just in my past.
Can you pass the drug screen today? Maybe.
I reckon so. Yeah.
Huh?
Maybe.
Maybe, huh?
Yeah.
So you smoked marijuana? Well, you don't answer that question. But there's a good chance in the last 30 days you may have been with the wrong crowd again. Or were you making the wrong choices?
Making the wrong choices. Now I'm trying to better myself. I'm trying to do something.
Today?
No, it's been going on now for a few months, especially since last year I lost my dad to liver cancer. So, you know, it's been kind of rough. It's just me and my mom now. So now I'm trying to step up. My daughter's 5 months old. So I'm trying to be a better father, a better man. I mean,
How old was your father?
My father was 51.
Sorry for your loss.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you all haven't been perfect all your lives. Everybody runs into a little trouble.
You married to the mother of your daughter?
I'm working on that now. We live together, so, and that's going actually really good. She just started at Vanderbilt. She just graduated, so.
You working anywhere right now?
I'm a church musician for my pastor.
Is that who's with you?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir, for being here.
Future manager.
Do you have a company that you're working with right now?
I'll be working for Smith Talk.
Can I say something real quick?
Sure.
Yes.
His father was a friend of mine. So
he's not here to kind of lead him and direct him in the right direction. And I just kind of want to be a mentor to him, you know, kind of bring him in and show him the way. The streets are very easy to get caught into, and he's headed in the wrong direction. So if I feel I can get him under my wing, not take the place of his father, but try to instill some of the leadership values that his father had, maybe I can do my part to try to help him.
What's the name of your company?
Smith's.
Smith's?
Yes, sir.
How long you been in business?
My father originally started the business in the early 80s. I've been doing it for 17 years. My father, he's deceased also.
And I know you must have insurance and everything for your drivers and your vehicles.
Yes.
Don't they have some requirements about not using marijuana, not using drugs?
I would test him. I was aware of it. I told him I would test him. I would periodically test him. Most of my drivers have been there forever. We have never had any problems with no DUIs, no accidents, no drugs.
How many drivers?
He can vouch for that.
How many drivers you have?
We have 4.
They gonna be able to work with him? With Mr. House?
I don't know, he might be a little quicker than we are old men around here. I don't know if he keep up with him.
Smith's Wrecker's been in the Murchie Wrecker Company for Metro. It's a smaller zone. Generally covers Jefferson Street and to the north.
North Nashville.
And Mr. Smith was in business till he passed away last year.
January of this year.
Of this year.
Yes, sir.
And we were able to, he passed it along.
But like I said, I know I can't take the place of his father, but his father was a good man. I know he instilled some good values in him, and he kind of got caught with the wrong crowd.
Mr. House, were you waiting to see if you got a permit before you quit smoking marijuana or what? I mean, seriously.
Oh, man.
You tell me you're making a change. You've only been around the wrong crowd is your explanation. You got a 5-month-old child. You want to get a relationship with the mother.
I have one.
You want to be, you have
I want to be married, yes, sir.
And yet, you come to me and you tell me I might not pass a drug test today, or I might.
I don't know, man.
You knew somebody asked you that question today, didn't you?
I figured that much, but I mean, I've still got time to clean up before I start. The weed comes out of your system in, 30, 45 days?
I don't know.
Yeah, it does.
Those classes didn't teach you anything?
No, we really just kind of sitting there and watch videos. We didn't really talk about anything like that. But I'm not the one teaching the class. It's the state of Tennessee.
Did you want to say something?
I did.
Vice Mayor,
I kind of, my name is Councilman John Alexander. I live in Gaelsville. I pastor at Nobleville United Methodist Church, because United Methodist pastors have to go all over the country, so to speak. But I met Michael through his father. I just started a male course when I became pastor of Ebenezer United Methodist Church, and his father would come and play for our church free. Whatever money that we gave to him, he wouldn't take it, he would give it to his son, trying to get him started in church. I was fortunate enough to be at his father's bedside when he took his last breath, because the family had instilled those trust in me, and I appreciate that. Mike is a very talented young man, and I'm on him pretty hard because being around the wrong crowd is not an excuse to me, because you choose the people you run with. And I'm pretty, I guess you would say, hard. And no, I'm not trying to take his father's place, but as a pastor, I expect certain standards in my members, in my musicians, and anybody that I'm associated with. But I would love to see him get a chance on this company with Mr. Smith that has went out on a limb to try to give him a job. And I back him, I support him, and I'm praying and hoping that he will do right this time. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Is there a mandatory requirement to be drug screened before the application can be
No.
approved? Can it be a stipulation in that the drug screen be negative before approval?
The commission has at times required drug screens, specific drug screens as a part of the application process once they're in front of the commission. There have other been times where we've also required the company to do random drug screens on the drivers for a period of time as well. So
You get that result?
anytime there's been, when we've not had a failure yet that at least I'm aware of.
I think in this case, I'd like for Mr. Smith to present negative drug screens to Mr. Fields monthly for a period of time.
And they'd be conducted randomly,
Yeah, random, yeah.
but certainly
And clean one before. yeah.
should be reported to Mr. Fields.
And I would, if we're discussing it, I would suggest that there be a clean drug screen before he's approved by Mr. Smith's company having him screened. Once he gets a clean one, then monthly random drug screens where you're picking the time for him to do it. And they're provided to Mr. Fields either by email or fax or hand delivered for a year.
Yeah, 12 months.
Yeah, at least, yeah.
And then after that, it'd be periodic, still random, but not required to be monthly.
We could ask him to come back to the commission at the end of that time period if you'd like. And then at that point, you could review his year and if any additional requirements, you could do that then, I think.
I'd probably defer that to you rather than putting him up in.
Okay.
If that's
So
all
you
right.
okay with having a monthly drug check?
Yes, ma'am.
Test.
If it means getting a job and doing better for myself.
Sort of like
And
a
your
project.
child.
Yes, ma'am. And my family. I'm trying to make my dad proud. I got big shoes to fill. Huge shoes.
Big shoes to fill, most definitely.
God.
Meaning his father's shoes?
Yes, sir. He's a good man.
You want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that that Mr. House's application will be conditionally approved upon presentation of a negative drug screen for all drugs, and that thereafter there will be monthly random drug screens conducted by Smith's Wrecker Service. And Mr. Smith, I'm going to ask you to take personal responsibility for that.
I will.
You will pick the time for Mr. House to submit to the drug screen. To keep this simple, and then those drug screens will be provided to Mr. Fields right thereafter. And if there's a negative drug screen, I'm going to ask you to pull him right then and there and give it immediately to Mr. Fields. And then at the end of 1 year, for Mr. Fields to review the situation and make a recommendation to follow thereafter.
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Have a good day.
We also have one more application.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. For Scott Allen Rainey.
Mr. Ramey is present. He made application to be a record driver. In his application, he failed to list a 2016 public drunk charge.
When in 2016 was this?
The charge is on March 27th.
Mr. Rainey, you list Cottons and Toe Pro.
Yes, sir.
Is there anybody here from the company?
No, sir. They just told me to let you guys know that, because Ashley actually called me this morning and said I was approved by their insurance and things of that sort. We just had to wait for your guys' decision.
You listed 12 other things.
Yes, sir.
On your application, and I know you don't have it there in front of you, but many of them are repeat things like failure to appear.
There should be
on driving
two of
on-
those.
Yeah. And
that was because I got the dates mixed up.
The other things like child support, 2 driving on suspended licenses.
The child
Three.
support, that's been paid off now. No more issues with that.
Well, my point is, I think you were doing a real good job of reporting things that I would not normally have thought were criminal in nature, like child support, but how'd you miss the public intoxication from just
It just
2016?
that one just completely slipped my mind.
And you put down a ticket, you put down an accident. That didn't
I was trying to think from the furthest to the newest. That way I did get all of them, and I left that one off.
What was the outcome of the public intoxication charge?
The outcome of the public intoxication, what it was is I was drunk. We were having a birthday party for a friend of mine in Murfreesboro. I was leaned up against my truck, waiting for them to come out so we could go get something to eat. I had a sober driver driving my truck. The sergeant walked by. I knew the sergeant. When I spoke to him, he was like, "You seem like you're a little too drunk." I said, "Yes, sir, I am." He's like, "Well, I'm going to have to ask you to get in the car." He didn't put cuffs on me. I willingly went, got in the car with him, and that was the outcome
What
of
was
that.
the outcome, though, in court?
In court, I pled guilty to the public drunk because I was drunk. I was in public. I mean, granted, I was leaning up against a vehicle right across the street from the bar that I was at, and I knew the officer. But I pled guilty to it, and it's been flattened and taken care of.
I'd make a motion to approve.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank
Motion passes.
Okay, I've got one question. As far as my permit, how do I get it?
Talk to this
Talk
gentleman.
to that guy.
Come back to the office. You'll come to the office tomorrow, and we'll be able to deal with it, okay?
Just come up there and pay my additional fees?
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, bring the $20 in.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you for your time,
Hope
folks.
to say.
Any other
Have
business?
two pieces I need to, one is to advise you, Pink Taxi of Tennessee, LLC, would like to move its address to 729 Calhoun Avenue, Nashville, Tennessee, 37210. Just requires it be reported to the commission. I don't really think you need to take, I don't think there's an action to take. Also, we need to set, I think we generally said, but I don't think we firmed it up, we need to set the annual meeting for the horse and carriages. When we made the rule for, I know you'll like to have another of those, one more public hearing. I would suggest there are two dates that don't seem to be used at this point, November 17th or December 8th. I'd originally planned to do November 17th. One of the companies said they would prefer December the 8th. I told them that, I would report that they made that request, but those would be the two dates that, and I would ask, and then they would set a deadline for applications as well.
And this is for?
For horse and carriage, anyone who'd like to open a horse and carriage company and/or additional carriages to be operated on the street.
We don't have any application deadline set at this time?
Well, correct. Now, what it is, previous to the rule, so anybody could apply anytime and then come in front of the commission. Earlier this year, the commission established a rule that would require low-speed vehicles, pedicabs, pedal carriages, and horse and carriages to have an annual meeting. It's not required in the ordinance, but what would happen is you would have an annual meeting, and probably 45 days prior to that annual meeting, we would accept applications. And then the rest of the year, we would not accept applications. We wouldn't accept applications other times that year for consideration.
Part of you setting a deadline so they can do background checks and everything
Right.
as well. So either day, so yeah.
So we're looking at setting the hearing either the 17th or the 8th?
Right. The 17th is your regular meeting in November, and because of the holidays, we set December 8th as the December meeting. It's really close, but that was the date we set last year, or earlier this year. So it really becomes the preference of the commission which day. From a staff standpoint, it's not going to bother us one way or the other. Neither has been advertised because we didn't have it.
I know sometimes we've been able to work the schedule to where we actually don't have a meeting.
Don't have to have a December, and that's
in December.
possible. And that's the reason I would have, my original recommendation would be November 17th. However, again, one of the companies, said there were some issues, and I said, I'll report that to the commission.
I would vote for the 17th.
Yeah, I would too.
If you give me a motion.
Make a motion for the 17th of November.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. I think you made all the motions today.
I'll make one more. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And,
Sorry,
the deadline will be
motion.
45 days. I said that, didn't I? So that'll cover that. The deadline will be October the 3rd.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, yeah, you